Dawn broke in a riot of orange and gold, the sun climbing fast until it washed the sky blinding white. Then an explosion ripped the morning wide open. A low, rolling thunder shook the ground. A column of dust and debris bloomed upward, swallowing the sun. In the space of a heartbeat, the high-rise headquarters of the world's highest authority collapsed into a heap of smoking rubble. A woman in black tactical gear stood a few hundred meters away, watching the destruction. Her face gave away nothing. Dark hair hung motionless in the still air. Her eyes caught the crimson edge of the sunrise and held a cutting, predatory stillness. Nobody with any sense would meet that gaze. She was Agent Ling Yao, top of the food chain, the deadliest special ops mercenary on the planet. An SSSS-level contract. Just another Tuesday. Through the haze came the sharp, synchronized footsteps of military police moving in. She didn't budge. She pulled out her phone and typed 4 words, mission complete. Then she turned, unhurried, and walked toward the helicopter waiting behind her. She swung into the cockpit, dropped into the pilot's seat, and flipped the switches with practiced ease. The engine snarled to life. The rotors beat the air, and the bird lifted off. Below, the unit reached her position seconds too late. They stared up at the shrinking silhouette, rage twisting their faces. Rifles came up. Shots cracked through the air. Every round fell short. The operation had been flawless. No hesitation. No errors. Textbook. She flew a steady line toward base. 2 clicks out, a piercing alarm screamed through the cabin. In the same instant, the aircraft wrenched apart, like an invisible hand had torn it open. A fireball erupted across the sky. Everything vanished into smoke and flame, and 01's body went with it. As her eyes closed, a dry smirk tugged at the corner of her mouth. So that's how it ends. Fine. She'd been sick of this life for a damn long time. The sun climbed higher. Gold light poured through the clouds and draped the world in warmth. She was somewhere else now. 21st century. The capital. Deep inside a forest, silence held except for the whisper of leaves in the breeze. On a rutted dirt trail, a girl lay crumpled in the dirt. Clothes filthy. Eyes shut. Body stiff. No question she was dead. A shaft of sunlight pierced the canopy and landed squarely on her face. A beat. Her eyes snapped open. The fear and timidity that once lived in those eyes were gone. In their place burned something cold, predatory, and very, very sharp. Ling Yao no. She was Yunshu now. She sat up slowly, adjusting to limbs that moved like rusted machinery. Her gaze swept the terrain with automatic precision, then dropped to her own body. This body. She had felt the explosion consume her. There shouldn't have been a scrap left. Yet here she was battered, aching, but unmistakably alive. What the hell? A white fog rolled through her skull. Then a flood of foreign memories slammed into her consciousness, relentless and violent. The pain was blinding. Like her skull was about to crack open. She clenched her teeth and rolled it out. Nearly 15 minutes later, the agony receded. She released her head. Sweat beaded her forehead. Her body still trembled from the overload. Right. So 01 of X world really was dead. And her soul had crossed dimensions into this girl's body, Yunshu. 21 years old. Eldest daughter of her father, head of a corporation in the capital. Her birth mother died of illness when Yunshu was 5. 6 months later, her father remarried. The new wife brought along a half-sister, 6 months younger, and a half-brother, 2 years younger. Without a mother to shelter her, Yunshu grew up timid and brittle. She never raised her voice above a whisper. At the first sign of trouble, she cried. The moment the step-siblings arrived, her standing in the household collapsed. Her father regularly forgot she existed. Even the staff bullied her. She was always hungry, always cold. Her half-sister and half-brother treated her like a toy. Hitting and cursing her was the daily routine. Yesterday, her half-sister dragged her along to the riding stables for a weekend with friends. Yunshu was there to serve, not to socialize. At dusk, goaded by her friends, the half-sister forced Yunshu into the forest beyond the stables for an adventure. The real Yunshu had been terrified of the endless dark woods. But she never learned how to say no. She went in anyway. Before long, the creeping shadows and distant animal cries drove her to curl up in a ball beneath a tree. She shook uncontrollably. A fever took hold and burned through her. Years of malnourishment had destroyed her immune system. One fever was enough to kill her. When she opened her eyes again, the girl was gone. And 01 had taken her place. She shook her head once, processing the information without flinching. Nearly 20 years as a mercenary had conditioned her to stay calm through anything, even dying in a fireball and waking up in a stranger's body. Her past life was over. Fine. Now she had a second shot, in a new skin. If the universe was handing her a fresh start, she wasn't about to waste it. I'll take this body. All of it. And the ones who hurt her. They'll pay. She pushed up her sleeves and pant legs. Her limbs were painfully thin. Pale, sickly skin stretched over bone. Scars crisscrossed the surface, old welts from beatings, crescent marks from fingernails dug in, several small round burns that could only be cigarette marks. Most were years old, healed on the surface. But the cruelty of the hands that made them was still legible. This poor little thing. A cold, murderous gleam flickered in her eyes. Those two siblings have some serious nerve. She rose to her feet. Scanned the forest one more time. Then started walking toward the exit. Back at the stable grounds, the manager lowered his phone, his face darkening. He straightened his clothes fast and led his team toward the racetrack entrance. 2 minutes later, the Maybach convoy rolled up. The lead Rolls-Royce stopped, and every eye locked on it. Black-suited bodyguards moved into position beside the car. The door opened. A long, powerful leg stepped up first. Then the man himself, 6'2", broad-shouldered, owning the space before he said a single word. His dark hair was slightly mussed, a few strands falling across a sharp jaw. Silver sunglasses sat high on his nose. The eyes behind them were nearly invisible, but the pressure they gave off was unmistakable. He wore custom black casual wear. On his right wrist, a limited edition watch, one of only 3 in the world, caught the light, made even more striking by the strong hand beneath it. Fu Huaishang looked completely relaxed. He still made everyone's nerves pull tight. His presence was that overwhelming. The mall manager's face split into a warm smile as he stepped forward. Good to see you, President. The others behind him echoed it. Good to see you, President. Good to see you, President. Fu Huaishang let his gaze drift over them. Several seconds passed before he answered with a single, flat mm. That emotionless syllable sent cold sweat sliding down the manager's back. The president showed up unannounced. Nothing can go wrong today. Nothing. Because the man standing in front of him wasn't just any boss. This was Fu Huaishang. 29. Head of the Fu family, the most powerful of the capital's 4 great houses. The driving force behind the Fu Corporation. In the capital, and across the whole country, the Fu family's status was absolute. Their wealth and power sat at the very top. Every industry you could name, tech, culture, art, mining, aviation, oil, real estate, the Fu Corporation had its fingerprints on it. Its reach stretched well beyond the country's borders. It was a trendsetter on the global stage. And at the helm stood the man right in front of them. The uncrowned king of the capital. Fu Huaishang. President, your private villa is ready. Would you like to see it now? The manager didn't get to finish. Boss. One of the special assistants jogged toward them, a hunting rifle slung over his shoulder, grinning like he had a secret. The manager's head started throbbing the second he saw him. When did that special assistant get here? How did I miss this? Everyone knew Fu Huaishang had two special assistants. One was the stoic man standing beside him. The other was the one running at them now. Both were the president's most trusted men. If one of them had shown up early along, did that mean he was here to inspect the manager? The thought turned his legs to jelly. But when the assistant reached them, he didn't even glance at the manager. He stopped in front of Fu Huaishang, practically vibrating. "Boss, there's a wolf in the forest next door. I just wounded it." His eyes were bright, his whole body humming with the need to go after it. Long fingers pulled off the sunglasses. Fu Huaishang tucked them casually into his collar and fixed his dark eyes on the tree line. "Let's take a look." The other special assistant stepped forward immediately, his face tight. "Boss, that forest is protected land. There could be dangerous animals in there." "It's fine. I already scouted the whole thing," the first assistant cut in. "The biggest predator in there is a wolf. Nothing else." That was the whole reason he'd come ahead. "Still not acceptable. We can't leave any gaps in the president's safety." The other assistant treated Fu Huaishang's well-being as more important than his own life. The first started to argue, but his mouth snapped shut the instant Fu Huaishang raised a hand. "Come with me. We'll take a look together." His voice was cool. Fu Huaishang stepped into the forest first. "Yes, sir." The stoic assistant followed. The other assistant and the bodyguards fell in behind them. The manager stood frozen, watching them disappear into the trees. He let out a small, shaky breath. Then his heart shot straight back into his throat. Damn it. If some wild animal hurt the president, he was finished. The manager paced in tight circles, muttering prayers under his breath. Yunshu moved slowly. Her body, the original owner's body, was too weak. Bruised. Battered. Still recovering from a fever, dehydrated, no food all day. She could barely keep herself upright. A woo. A mournful wolf howl tore through the silence. Yunshu stopped dead. Her sharp gaze cut through the trees. There are wolves here. Before she could process it, another howl rang out, much closer this time. She dropped into a crouch, hiding in the knee-high grass. Controlled her breathing. Held perfectly still. On the other side of the thicket, a gray wolf watched in silence. Its fur blended into the brush so perfectly it was nearly invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Its eyes gleamed with intent, locked on the patch of grass not far ahead. Ears pricked, catching every tiny sound. It smelled its prey. Weak. Easy. The wolf began to advance, step by step. Its muscular body leaned forward as it moved, muscles coiled like a drawn bowstring. Ready. Waiting. Rustle. 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 The wolf crept closer to Yunshu's hiding spot. Annoyance flickered through her. I just got reborn, and now I'm about to get eaten by a wolf. Fine. You want to eat me. I don't want to be your meal. Let's see who wins. A woo, a woo. The wolf let out an attack cry. What it didn't expect just as it leaped, jaws open to sink into its target, was the figure that shot up from the grass like a ghost. Yunshu moved with lethal speed. Pure explosive power as she launched herself upward, slipping past the wolf's claws and fangs by a hair. Her thin arms swung with everything she had, driving straight into the wolf's wounded hind leg. The blow caught the animal completely off guard. It had never imagined prey that smelled this weak could fight back. Thud! The impact sent the wolf stumbling a full 5 meters before it crashed into a dead tree stump. Blood gushed from its gunshot wound. The wolf shook its head, dazed, but scrambled back to its feet in seconds. Every hair on its body stood rigid. Its eyes burned red. Fangs bared to the gums. A furious growl rumbled from deep in its throat. Yunshu's punch had just thoroughly pissed it off. The wolf dug its paws into the dirt. But before either of them could move again, a low, calm voice cut through the trees. "Well, looks like someone got here first." The first special assistant stepped out from behind a thick trunk, rifle still in hand, his eyes flicking between the bloodied wolf and the wild-eyed girl in the grass. Behind him, Fu Huaishang walked into the clearing. His gaze landed on Yunshu and stayed there. The wolf snarled, torn between two threads now. No one moved. Fu Huaishang's expression didn't change. But something sharp flickered behind his eyes. "Drop the gun," he said quietly. "Not to the wolf." The assistant blinked. "Boss. I said drop it." The rifle lowered. Fu Huaishang tilted his head, still watching the girl. A thin, battered thing. Barely standing. But she just knocked a full-grown wolf 5 meters back with one punch. His mouth curved, just barely. Interesting. Yunshu's pulse hammered in her ears. She didn't know who these men were. She didn't care. She kept her eyes locked on the wolf. The wolf's ears flattened. Its growl deepened. And then it lunged. Zhou Qimeng locked her gaze on the wolf, murder blazing in her eyes. One woman, one beast, frozen in place. The air between them crackled. A woo. The howl tore through the silence, louder now, sharper. "I challenge." Then the wolf lunged. All 4 paws left the ground as it shot toward her like a bolt of lightning, just gaping, fangs bared. Zhou Qimeng didn't back up an inch. She clenched her fists and charged straight at it, not a trace of fear on her face. "Boss, over there," I heard the howl. Excitement sparked in Li Jun's voice. He struck out on every hand so far while Shangfu mused and the boss never missed. Today, he was going to erase that embarrassment. The single song gave nothing away. The group moved faster. They reached the clearing where the wolf had been fighting. And every one of them stopped cold. The wolf lay in a wide pool of blood beside a girl. The grass around them was flattened and drenched red. Her hair was a snarled mess, her face smeared with blood until her features were impossible to make out. One sleeve had been shredded by the wolf's jaws, revealing bite wounds still oozing crimson. Worse, a chunk of flesh had been torn from her left calf, exposing the white gleam of bone beneath. The wolf wasn't in much better shape. Its tongue hung limp from its mouth. Blood leaked from its eyes and ears. And its throat was clamped tight in the girl's right hand, her fingers buried deep in its windpipe. The webbing between her thumb and index finger had split open from the force, blood pumping from the wound and mixing with the rest into a brutal red stain. This girl seriously fought a wolf. Li Jun's voice thickened with shock. He'd seen plenty in his time. This was a first. Shangfu Mu strode forward, crouched, and examined her. Seconds later, he was back at Fu Huaishang's side. "Boss. She's alive." The wolf's dead, she choked it out. Bullet wound on its hind leg. The one Li Jun hit. Fu Huaishang didn't move. His gaze burned into the girl and the dead animal. Something shifted in the depths of his dark eyes, an emotion he didn't name. 2 seconds passed. He lifted his chiseled jaw. Shangfu Muse and Li Jun understood the silent command. They moved in to save her. Downstairs, in a ground floor room of the villa, 5 or 6 doctors and nurses surrounded the bed, working on Zhou Qimeng. Li Jun stood watch nearby. The stables were part of the Fu family estate, reserved for elite families and high-ranking officials. For emergencies, the property had a small clinic that rivaled any top private hospital. The thick, metallic scent of blood saturated the air. The procedure stretched for hours. The wolf's bite wounds were too many to count, and every one of them required careful stitching. When they finally finished, the lead doctor peeled off his blood-stained gloves, gave the nurses their orders, and walked over to Li Jun at the door. "Assistant Li. She's out of danger. She lost a significant amount of blood, and her body was severely depleted. We've administered transfusions and stabilized her. She should wake by morning. Li Jun nodded. He watched the entire process. He knew exactly how bad her injuries were. But those old scars clearly visible beneath the fresh wounds, what the hell had this girl been through? Thank you, doctor. Li Jun saw him out, then headed upstairs. He knocked once and stepped inside. Fu Huaishang sat on the sofa, legs crossed. The harsh afternoon light carved his sharp features into shadow. In his right hand, he slowly swirled a glass of red wine. Boss. She's out of danger. Li Jun reported everything he observed. When he mentioned the white patches of old scars covering Zhou Qimen's body, one of the man's perfect eyebrows arched. Something stirred again in those unreadable eyes. Boss. Shangfu Muse walked in. The girl is Zhou Qimeng, eldest daughter of Shan Wangzhong, Shan Corporation. Shangfu Muse delivered the information he just uncovered. She came to the stables with her stepsister. Went into the forest alone. Li Jun's curiosity piqued. Why would a girl go in there? No one answered. A brief silence settled over the room. After a bit, Fu Huaishang set down his glass. His lips parted. Understood. Shangfu Muse and Li Jun exchanged a look, then bowed and exited. Out in the hallway, Li Jun grabbed Shangfu Muse's arm. Hey! Why do you think the boss saved her? He never even glances at women, let alone a girl chewed up by a wolf. It was true. Beautiful women threw themselves at Fu Huaishang constantly, no matter their status or the size of the gesture. He never gave them a second look. He simply wasn't interested. But today, the boss had personally stepped in. Even ordered Shangfu Muse to investigate her. That was bigger news than a nuclear bomb going off. Li Jun couldn't wrap his head around it. He stared at Shangfu Muse, hoping for an answer. Shangfu Muse gave him a cool look and said flatly, the boss knows why. Then he turned and walked away, leaving Li Jun glaring at his rigid back. Li Jun fumed. Damn it, Muse. You need to change your name to Icy McCaspens. Otherwise you're never gonna find a wife. The next morning, Zhou Qimeng finally opened her eyes. She blinked at the unfamiliar room for 2 full seconds. The decor was understated but luxurious. Definitely not a hospital. She looked down at herself. Bandages wrapped her from head to toe like a bargain mummy. Her hands, her legs, even her face were hidden beneath thick gauze. Only her eyes and mouth were free. Ensi dripped into each hand, clear fluid feeding into her veins. Her mind drifted back to the moments before she blacked out. She'd used every last shred of strength to squeeze the wolf's throat until it stopped moving. The beast had torn countless wounds into her, but the real reason she'd collapsed was this weak, useless body. Lucky the wolf had already been shot. With a body like this, she never would have stood a chance. But who saved me? Zhou Qimeng stared up at the ceiling. More than 10 minutes passed. She used both hands to pull the needle out, wincing as blood beaded at the spot. Pressing the back of her hand flat against the sheet, she held it there until the bleeding stopped. Her knuckles were wrapped in gauze and couldn't bend, so this was the only way she could get the line out. After the treatment and some rest, Yunshu actually felt a lot better. The wound still ached, but it was nothing she couldn't ignore. She braced her shoulder against the mattress and pushed herself upright, then unwound the gauze from her hands. Now that she could move freely, she decided to leave immediately. Whoever had saved her could be a friend or an enemy. Getting out was the smartest move. Her feet had barely touched the floor when a man's startled voice came from the doorway. What are you doing out of bed? Yunshu turned. 2 men stood at the door. The taller one was strikingly handsome, hands in his pockets, dark eyes fixed on her. Behind him, a man who looked like an assistant pointed at her, visibly panicked. Hey, you can't get up. Do you have any idea how much blood you lost? It was the assistant who'd spoken. Yunshu waved a hand, her voice scratchy. I'm fine. Li Jun wasn't buying it. His voice rose. What's wrong with you? I told you, stay in bed. If our Mr. Fu hadn't taken pity on you and saved your life, you'd be. The constant nagging made Yunshu frown. Fu Huaishang, silent the whole time, gave a sharp, cutting gesture. Li Jun shut his mouth instantly and stood obediently by the door. With long, unhurried strides, Fu Huaishang entered the room. As he drew closer, Yunshu felt an invisible pressure building. He stopped a meter in front of her, his tall frame towering over her like a mountain, completely dwarfing her slender figure. She looked up at him. Fu Huaishang stood with his back to the window, sunlight wrapping him in a bright halo. His perfectly tailored black suit had his lean frame, razor-sharp and formidable. His brows were thick and well-defined, his eyes deep and piercing, like a frozen pool you couldn't tear your gaze from. Straight nose, thin but sensual lips, a faint dimple at one corner that added a dangerous edge to his cold features. His black hair was cropped neat and crisp, showing his forehead, the ends falling just right against his neck, emphasizing that almost inhumanly handsome face. She'd seen plenty of good-looking men, but one this stunning. That was a first. What was impossible to ignore, though, was the cold, regal aura radiating off him. Meeting his dark eyes, Yunshu's heart jolted. It was him. Last night, while she was unconscious, that same scrutinizing gaze had stayed on her. Who was this man? While she puzzled over it, Fu Huaishang studied her in return. He already knew who she was. But replaying the scene from yesterday, the way she had taken down that grey wolf with her bare hands, he had to admit, this was the first time a girl had ever sparked his interest. Their eyes locked. Time seemed to freeze. After a beat, Yunshu broke the silence, her voice flat. Thank you for saving my life. But you injured that grey wolf first, which made it attack me. So I'd say we're even. Fu Huaishang's expression stayed steady, but something flickered in his eyes. He straightened, a trace of a smile at his lips. Even? That's not for you to decide. Li Jun chimed in from the door. Exactly. Mr. Fu saved you, and you think you can just call it even. Shouldn't you be figuring out how to repay him? And who told you we injured that wolf? Li Jun was starting to think this eldest Miss Yun was a little off. Why would she want to cut ties with them? Yunshu turned without hurry, her gaze landing on him. The gunpowder on your clothes. You're using a 5-round hunting rifle. Long range, but poor accuracy. After you fire, both you and the prey carry a heavy smell. That grey wolf was the same. She spoke slowly, but every word was precise. She'd known the wolf was injured the second she caught the scent on its fur. That was how she managed to drive it off with a single strike. Li Jun lifted his arm and sniffed, incredulous. No way he changed clothes after they got back. How could she still smell it? And how the hell did she know so much about firearms? The eldest Miss Yun is certainly more interesting than the rumors suggest. Fu Huaishang's lips curved into a faint smile. This girl was growing on him more and more. He really wanted to know what was going on inside that gauze-wrapped head. The public had never known much about Yunshu. Word was she was plain, terrible at school, weak and timid. But the woman standing in front of him now had completely shattered that image. He couldn't judge her face, it was wrapped, but those bright, clear eyes were captivating. She only reached his chest, thin and covered in scars. But beneath that fragile surface, there seemed to be an immense, quiet power he couldn't quite pin down. Yunshu's gaze was steady, her spine straight. She showed no reaction to his words. So, are we even now? Seeing how eager she was to cut every last tie, Fu Huaishang felt a strange stir inside. His eyes darkened, his tone dropping cold. What if I still say no? She gave him a flat look, her own voice going ice cold. Then you'd better kill me right now. She didn't finish the thought. She didn't have to. It was a stark, unguarded finality and barely concealed killing intent. It lasted only a second, but Fu Huaishang caught it. His brows pulled together, eyes narrowing. He leaned down again, his tall frame bending toward her. His voice was arctic, his gaze burning into hers. Then I'll do exactly that. Kill you right now. The air around them froze. Li Jun, standing by the door, tensed. This young girl must have hit her head. How could she provoke the CEO like that? Should he step in and smooth things over? They'd already saved her. Killing her now would be a waste of resources. But Yunshu stood perfectly straight, not a single trace of fear on her face. Even facing Fu Huaishang at full fury, she held steady as a mountain. Let's see you try. No fear. Just calm. A few seconds later, Fu Huaishang suddenly gave her a very clear smile. Then he straightened up. Li Jun. Li Jun hurried over, looking tense. Mr. Fu, she's probably concussed. Don't take what she's saying. Arrange breakfast, then take Miss Yun home. What? Yes, sir. Gu Hongxian nearly got whiplash. 1 second the boss looked ready to kill someone, the next he was ordering breakfast. For her. It was like titans clashing. The cold fury rolling off Fu Huaishang vanished just as fast. He turned to Yunshu, voice clipped. This is not negotiable. He walked off, his step almost cheerful. Yunshu stared after him, frowned. Miss Yun, please wait a moment. I'll have everything ready. Gu Hongxian moved to leave. Wait. She stopped him. Make sure there's plenty of meat. Fish, pork, beef, seafood, all of it. No vegetables. She needed protein, and she needed it now. Gu Hongxian couldn't help himself. You a picky eater. Didn't she even worry the boss might poison her? Yunshu held up her thin arm. Growing. Gu Hongxian had no response to that. Once he was gone, Yunshu headed for the bathroom. She had to confirm one thing about this parallel world situation, what she actually looked like now. She unwound the gauze from her head. A pale face covered in scratches stared back. She leaned in, then exhaled slowly. Same face as her original in the parallel world classic oval, dark eyes that could swallow you whole, delicate features. Perfect. Just buried under scars and sallow skin. Once she healed, she looked exactly like she used to. Was there some rule to this transmigration thing she hadn't figured out yet? She didn't dwell on it. She rewrapped her wounds, but this time she only covered the worst spots instead of mummifying her entire head. When Gu Hongxian returned with servants pushing a cart loaded with food, he found Yunshu with gauze only on her forehead and right cheek. He sucked in a sharp breath. This Miss Yun was insane. What girl with a scratched-up face wouldn't want to hide it? She peeled off the bandages like it was nothing, showing off every mark. Did she have zero concept of beauty? Yunshu ignored his twitching expression. Her eyes were locked on the feast. A servant parked the cart beside the bed, and she grabbed chopsticks and a bowl. Within a minute, the seafood congee was gone. By minute 5, the heaping plate of beef was empty. 15 minutes later, the entire cart enough to feed 3 people had vanished into her stomach. It was a storm. Gu Hongxian and the servants stood frozen, stunned by the speed of it. What the hell had his boss brought back? A bottomless pit. Yunshu didn't care. She needed food, she needed nutrition, and if she had to eat fast and a lot to recover, so be it. She set down her utensils, wiped her mouth, and looked at the dazed assistant. I'm full. Right this way, Miss Yun. She followed him out, moving slowly because of her injuries. Every servant and guard they passed shot her strange looks. Yesterday they dragged her in bloody and barely alive. Now she was walking. The recovery speed was insane and suspicious. Yunshu ignored them, quietly cataloging the villa. She was still at the equestrian estate. Based on the location, this had to be the private wing, and it was leagues beyond the room Zhiheng had booked. The guards were trained fighters, not decoration. That man had real power. At the entrance, a Maybach was already waiting. Gu Hongxian opened the door. "Miss Yung, please." She nodded and was about to get in when a sharp voice screamed, "Yung Shu." She looked up. Zhiheng and her best friend stood in front of the car, staring with confusion. Zhiheng wore heels, a tight low-cut dress, and heavy makeup. But up close, her face screamed cheap cosmetic work. Yung Shu kept her expression blank, but inside, rage churned. This woman. Not only had she killed the original body, she tormented her for years. In her mind, that repayment is a matter of course. She would make Zhiheng pay. The girl beside Zhiheng was equally shocked. "Kiman, why is she here? Shouldn't she be in the woods?" The moment Zhiheng spotted Gu Hongxian, her contempt switched to sweet flattery. She put on a saccharine voice. "Assistant Gu, hello. I'm Zhiheng, Yung Shu's sister. What happened to my sister?" Gu Hongxian didn't answer. He glanced at Yung Shu. A silent exchange. 2 seconds later, he stepped back. "Miss Yung, call me if you need anything." Then he climbed into the Maybach, and the car pulled away. Zhiheng couldn't believe he ignored her but treated that bitch with respect. Her confusion shattered into fury. "Why are you here?" She stepped forward, looking down at Yung Shu like she was something stuck to her shoe. "Yeah, this is Mr. Fu's private estate. And you look like a wreck, already ugly, now even worse." Yang Zhu piled on, dripping with disdain. She was the plastic surgery junkie who followed Zhiheng around, dreaming of begging a billionaire. She egged Zhiheng on yesterday, helping to kill the original. Yung Shu stared at them both, murder bleeding from her eyes. Zhiheng felt a chill crawl up her spine. Something was off. But then she remembered, for years, Yung Shu had groveled at her feet like a dog. How dare she look at her like that? Face red with fury, Zhiheng strode forward, raising her hand. "Yung Shu, looks like you forgot the rules after a day without a beating. In a rule of law society, you think you can ignore me? Thug, let me remind you." Her scream and slap arced toward Yung Shu's face. Yang Zhu grinned, fanning the flames. "Yeah, teach her a lesson. Thinks she can just waltz into Mr. Fu's villa. What a monkey show. Beat her to death." Just hearing Fu Huaishang's name was enough to throw Zhiheng into a frenzy. She spent a small fortune to sneak into this neighborhood, desperate for even a glimpse of him, and instead, this bitch strolls right out of the villa. Whatever she did inside, she wasn't walking away from it alive. "You're coming with me." Zhiheng hissed at her friend, madness flaring in her eyes. "Fine by me." Mu Yung lunged straight at Yung Shu. Yung Shu watched them charge, a cold murderous glint in her gaze. If the original owner of this body had been standing here, those two would have beaten her to death for sure. But she wasn't that girl. And she had zero intention of taking this lying down. When the slaps came flying, Yung Shu didn't back up. She surged forward, grabbing both wrists at lightning speed. "Yung Shu, how dare you? You're dead." Zhiheng and Mu Yung both shrieked, but before they could finish, Yung Shu yanked down hard. Crack! Crack! 2 clean fractures echoed through the air. "Oh! Oh!" Screams tore from their throats. Yung Shu snapped an elbow into Mu Yang's botched chin, shattering teeth. She released her, then drove a side kick straight into Mu Yang's silicone-enhanced chest. Mu Yung crumpled to the ground, out cold. Still clutching her broken hand, Zhiheng swung her back. "You're a dead woman today, Yung Shu." She never got the swing off. Yung Shu's foot slammed into her stomach, launching her backward like a broken doll. She hit the ground and writhed in agony. Yung Shu stood over her, icy calm. "Zhiheng, I'd forgotten your little rules. Let me teach you mine." The exertion had split open several wounds. Blood seeped through her clothes, making her look like a demon straight out of a nightmare. Terrified, Zhou Qimeng tried to crawl away. Yunshu grabbed her by the perfectly styled hair, yanking her to a brutal stop. Help! Somebody help me! Pain ripped across her scalp. Her face went white, sweat beading on her forehead. You like pulling my hair? Let's switch. Yunshu's voice remained flat, merciless. She dragged Zhou Qimeng over to Mu Yan's unconscious body and dropped her. "Want my hair?" Zhou Qimeng sobbed, staring at the clumps scattered across the ground. Hatred boiled in her eyes. "Yunshu, if you lay another hand on me, I'll slap, 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 slap." Yunshu obliged, her palm landing again and again. The sharp, clean cracks cut through the air. Every blow carried her full force, whipping Zhou Qimeng's head back and forth. After 50 slaps, Yunshu stopped. "Whoa! I'm telling father." Zhou Qimeng bawled, her face a swollen, unrecognizable mess. "You said those slaps were for my own good. Well, now I'm doing it for yours. So why would you go tattle?" Yunshu's voice dripped with mockery. "Tit for tat. You." Zhou Qimeng pointed a trembling finger at her. Yunshu didn't hesitate. She stomped down on that hand. My hand. First rule, don't point. It's rude." She pressed down harder with each word. Zhou Qimeng couldn't even scream anymore. The pain was swallowing her whole. Yunshu felt no pity. In her world, no one ever dared disrespect her, and these two were learning exactly why. "That's your first lesson. From now on, you show me respect. Step out of line again, and I'll beat you senseless every single time I see you." A wave of raw killing intent washed over Zhou Qimeng. Yunshu's gaze, cold as ice, locked onto her. Zhou Qimeng trembled, every trace of arrogance gone. She whimpered, too terrified to speak. She couldn't process it. The same weak girl she terrorized just yesterday had beaten her nearly unconscious like it was nothing. As the top mercenary in the X world, Yunshu's strength was unquestionable. And these two plastic surgery disasters had dared to scream at her, insult her. They'd been begging for death. "Miss Yun, let me handle it from here. You need to get those wounds dressed." Li Jun appeared at the perfect moment. This time, there was no exasperation in his eyes, only respect. Who knew the crazy, picky Miss Yun could take on two attackers while injured and still dominate? Watching that payback had been extremely satisfying, clean, precise, ruthless. Yunshu glanced down at her reopened wounds. "A few moves and I'm already like this. Pathetic. Thanks." She walked back into the villa. Li Jun nodded, then signaled the bodyguards to drag the two women away. As she re-entered, the staff stared again. Carried in yesterday, walked out this morning, and now she was back with fresh blood staining her clothes. What was going on with this girl? She reached her door and found the man sitting on the couch, his face glacial. "Quite the fighter." His voice was low, edged with anger. Yunshu stepped in calmly. "Not bad." He rose abruptly, his tall frame looming. But the moment he saw the blood seeping through her bandages, his eyes darkened. His lips parted as if he might say more, then stopped. "Bandage her." "Yes, sir." The waiting doctor and nurse rushed forward, working efficiently. Yunshu closed her eyes like it was nothing, not a single groan escaping her lips, as if a needle and thread weren't stitching her skin. Half an hour later, wrapped in fresh bandages, she walked out. A black Rolls-Royce waited at the entrance, Li Jun standing by the door. When he saw her, he opened it immediately. "Miss Yun, please." "Thanks." Yunshu got in. A tall figure stood motionless by the floor-to-ceiling windows on the second floor. His sharp gaze cut through the glass and locked onto Yunshu below. She was struggling, but every step was steady. Unshakable. Fu Huaishang watched, expressionless. In spite of himself, His mind replayed her image, every move, every word, even the way she threw that punch. It looked like a film reel. Slowly, the corner of his usually unreadable mouth curved upward. The car rolled into the villa district. 200 meters from the gate, Yun-shu asked to get out. Li Jun handed her an elegant box. Miss Yun, this is from the young master. Yun-shu raised an eyebrow at the box, then shook her head. No thanks. I didn't earn it, and I can't afford to owe him. She wasn't joking. As the eldest daughter, she'd never seen a cent of allowance. The clothes on her back were Zhou Qimeng's hand-me-downs. The only thing she'd never had to beg for was food. Li Jun's expression tightened. Miss Yun, it's just ointment. You won't owe anything. The young master said, if you refuse, I'm not allowed to come back. Please, just take it. Help me out here. Yun-shu considered for a second, then took the box. Fine. Tell him thanks for me. Goodbye. Thank you, Miss Yun. Goodbye. Li Jun let out a relieved breath. She headed toward the house. The maid who opened the door stared, stunned. It was summer. Yun-shu wore a white short-sleeved casual top and pants, and her bare arms and neck were wrapped in bandages. Bruises and cuts marked her face. After a beat, the maid simply turned and walked away. Yun-shu stepped inside. The living room was empty except for 3 maids cleaning. None of them even glanced at her. They just kept working. Su Zongyuan and Yang Zhu were still on vacation. Zhou Qimeng was in the hospital, probably for a while. And the so-called family heir, Shen Yishuang, was likely out drowning himself in booze and women. In the original owner's memories, her room was on the first floor, next to the maid's quarters. Everyone else lived on the second and third floors. Yun-shu paused, then headed for the stairs. One maid spotted her and yelled, Hey! Where do you think you're going? You can't go up there. The other 2 looked over. Yun-shu climbed 2 steps, then turned to face the shouting maid. I can't. It was a question, but her tone was ice. The maid threw down her towel and strode over, aggressive. That's right. The second floor isn't for you. Yun-shu stood calm, studied the maid for a moment, then smiled a strange, chilling smile. On her bruised face, it sent a shiver down the spine. The maid flinched but recovered quickly. Get down. She reached out and grabbed for Yun-shu. Her fingers never touched a single thread of fabric. Bam! A heavy thud. The maid crashed 5 meters away against the corner of a sofa, her body a crumpled heap. She curled up, groaning, her waist screaming from the kick. Yun-shu had sent her flying. Ow! Tell the madam, you. Clang! A sharp crack. Yun-shu flicked her hand, and a small ornament from the stair railing slammed into the maid's mouth. Blood trickled from her lips. Terrified, she clamped a hand over them. The other 2 maids finally snapped out of their shock, shrieking. Yun-shu's cold, dark eyes swept across them. They clamped their mouths shut, trembling. You're this family's maids. If you can't tell the difference between master and servant, she's your example. She tilted her chin toward the bloodied, terrified maid. Her voice was frigid, carrying absolute authority. The maids were petrified. What had happened to Yun-shu? She walked out and come back a completely different person. Second floor, Zhou Qimeng's room. Yun-shu kicked the door open and walked inside. A moment later, the crash of shattering objects began. Half an hour later, when the noise finally stopped, the maids crept upstairs to check. Outside the door, Zhou Qimeng's priced clothes, bags, and cosmetics lay heaped like trash. Yun-shu scanned the room. Satisfied there was no more garbage, she headed for the bathroom. After a shower, she applied the ointment, changed into clean clothes, and lay down on the bed to rest. The club. The capital's top-tier entertainment venue. Its dome was crafted from 24K gold, glittering with endless luxury. Every detail was exquisite, the ultimate experience. But entry into the club wasn't about money, though the prices were astronomical. Only those from top-tier families or with real power set foot inside. Fu Huaishang entered through the private entrance. The manager greeted him with a wide smile. Young Master Fu, good evening. Young Masters Luo and Sun have already arrived. Fu Huaishang nodded. The manager pushed open the room door. Fu Huaishang strode in with long steps. Fu, we've been waiting forever, Luo Zhongqing drawled from the sofa, grinning. Beside him, Sun Hacheng had his shirt half open. Yeah, showing up this late trying to drink away the tab. Fu Huaishang shrugged off his suit jacket. Li Jun took it and stepped back. He sat down, grabbed the glass in front of him, and downed it in one go. Now that's what I'm talking about. Sun Hacheng sat up, grinning. Come on, let's all drink. It's been way too long. Luo Zhongqing raised his glass. Cheers. We haven't hung out in ages. They clinked glasses. Yeah, bro Huaishang went to Europe for 2 weeks, you went to America for a week, and left me all alone in the city, Sun Hacheng complained like a neglected wife. Give me a break. Alone? I'm amazed you didn't party yourself into a coma, Luo Zhongqing shot back, knowing his friend too well. How could I? I didn't even leave the house while you guys were gone. Didn't leave the house. Then who rear-ended someone last week? A dog? Fu Huaishang said flatly. Ha ha ha, exactly, it wasn't you. It was the dog who rear-ended someone, Luo Zhongqing howled. Even Fu Huaishang's face showed a clear smile. Seriously? You guys are no fun. Interesting. How could it not be? Gu Hongxian loved watching Shangfu Muse squirm. TSK Shangfu Muse rolled his eyes. Fu Huaishang raised his glass, and the three of them started drinking, vowing to drink till they dropped. They had grown up together, heirs to the 4 major families in the imperial capital. Their bond ran deep. They faced life and death situations side by side. Sure, Gu Hongxian and Shangfu Muse acted like they didn't have a serious bone in their bodies. But alone, each was a heavyweight in military and political circles. A few drinks in, the banter ramped up. Gu Hongxian glanced at Shangfu Muse, who was busy texting. What's this? New girlfriend already? Pretty sure that wasn't last week's profile pic. Dude, when have you ever seen me with a girlfriend? Where's the new coming from? Shangfu Muse, a lightweight, was already feeling the booze. Shangfu Muse was the capital's notorious playboy. He'd been with thousands of women, maybe not 10,000, but close. And yet the guy refused to admit he actually dated anyone. Gu Hongshuang's take. He was a total man whore. Fine, fine. No new girl, no dating. You're just a womanizer. Gu gave up and turned to Fu Huaishang. Hey, Huaishang, my little sister's coming back the day after tomorrow. Want to meet her? He sounded like a matchmaker. Fu Huaishang was the only one of the 3 who'd never been with a woman, so the other 2 made it their mission to drag him into the world of dating. Shangfu Muse's ears perked up. He put down his phone and leaned in. Oh yeah, I remember Hongshuang's sister being gorgeous. If we could make this a family thing, damn, Hongxian, you'd be unstoppable. I just wanted Huaishang to meet her. Where's your head at? Gu Hongxian shot him a dirty look. What? It's true. They went back and forth, their voices rising. Fu Huaishang looked at both of them, then set his glass down. No need. No need for what? You really think Master Fu's gonna let you stay single forever? Shangfu Muse shot back. Master Fu had 2 sons. Fu Huaishang's father, the eldest, died in a car crash 10 years ago along with his wife. That left Fu Huaishang as the only child, and getting his grandson settled down became the old man's biggest obsession. Whenever he saw Gu Hongxian and Shangfu Muse, he reminded them to find him a granddaughter-in-law. But Fu Huaishang showed zero interest in women. It was hopeless. Don't bring it up again. I had my own plans. Shangfu Muse opened his mouth to argue but stopped. That line caught him off guard. His own plans. Could it be? Gu Hangxian and Shangfu Muse exchanged a look, then said in unison, "Who's our sister-in-law?" But the man in question didn't bother answering. He just sank back into the sofa, silent. Zhou Qimeng slept like a log. When she woke up, it was already 6 in the evening. She called downstairs to order dinner, and a servant brought up a lavish meal. After the incident at noon, the household staff didn't dare disrespect her. If anything, they were terrified. The servant she hit had been sent to the hospital badly injured, reportedly. The rest tiptoed around, afraid she'd come for them next. After stuffing herself, Zhou Qimeng lay on the bed and started reviewing the original owner's life and studies. At 5 in the morning, before dawn, Zhou Qimeng went for a run. By the time the servants got up for work, she'd already been exercising for 2 hours. She went back to her room, showered, and came down for breakfast. After wolfing down 3 steaks, 5 eggs, 2 pieces of toast, and a tall glass of milk, she returned to her room. The servant stared at the empty plates, stunned for a solid minute. Back in her room, Zhou Qimeng dropped to the floor and started doing push-ups. This body was too weak. She couldn't stop training. It was summer break, so no school. She needed to use this time to get her body back in shape. According to the original owner's memories, school was the second thing she feared most. The first, of course, was Yangzhu and her 2 children. After 50 push-ups, she rested for 10 minutes, then moved on to horse stance. For 3 straight days, Zhou Qimeng worked out from before dawn until dark. At meals, she ate like a beast. The servants had gotten used to her appetite and no longer stared. On the 4th day at noon, she just finished lunch and was heading back to her room when a furious roar erupted behind her. "You little beast! How dare you hit Mu Yun?" It was Shen Wangzhong and Yang Zhu, back home. A cold gleam flashed in Zhou Qimeng's eyes. She turned to face them, expression icy. Shen Wangzhong strode toward her, Yang Zhu following behind, her face streaked with tears. He raised his hand to strike, but Zhou Qimeng caught his wrist. "Shen Wangzhong, if I'm a little beast, doesn't that make you an old one? Bit disappointing you stooped so low." Her tone was flat, but the mockery cut deep. Shen Wangzhong couldn't believe she blocked him. Now she was insulting him. Rage consumed him. He glared at her like he wanted to swallow her whole. Zhou Qimeng shoved his hand away and dusted herself off in disgust. "Qimeng, if Mu Yun did something wrong, you could have told me. Why did you beat her like that?" Yang Zhu stepped forward, her voice trembling with fake grievance. "Exactly. You're the older one. Don't you know how to yield?" Shen Wangzhong slammed his hand on the dining table, rattling the dishes. Zhou Qimeng stood there, calm and unruffled. Not a trace of guilt on her face. "Shen Wangzhong, for someone who's a company chairman, your judgment is terrible. In a rule of law society, debt repayment is a matter of course. What did you say?" He was about to explode. His own daughter, calling him out. Zhou Qimeng's cold gaze landed on Yang Zhu's venomous face before she raised her voice. "I said you're blind. You married this woman. You only see that I hate Mu Yun. But where were you all those years when her mother and her 2 brats abused and tormented me?" Shen Wangzhong clearly didn't believe her. "Impossible. Your mother wouldn't do that. And Mu Yun has always been polite and well-behaved. She'd never do those things. TSK, I said you were blind, and you still don't get it." Without another word, Zhou Qimeng rolled up her sleeves and pant legs, exposing the scars covering her limbs. The scar cream had faded some, but most were still starkly visible. "Chairman Shen, are you going to tell me I did this to myself? Look at the marks. How deep do you think the injuries had to be to leave scars like this?" Shen Wangzhong couldn't believe what he was seeing. His eyes went wide with shock as he turned to Yang Zhu. Panic flickered across her face, but she quickly forced out tears. Wang Zong, we never did that. You have to believe me. She cried as she spoke, the picture of innocence. This little bitch hadn't talked back. Not once. Over a decade of silence. So what the hell had gotten into her today? And those bruises. Fresh. Obvious. Shen Wanzhong would notice. Maybe he'd never spared Yunshu a second glance, but she was still his blood. If Zhou Qimeng didn't strangle this right now, the cracks in their marriage would never fully seal. Wang Zhong, you have to believe me. I've always treated Yunshu like my own daughter. Zhou Qimeng forced her voice steady, but her glare at Yunshu was pure venom. A warning. Keep your mouth shut. The Yunshu standing here now wasn't the old one. That glare hit nothing but air. Before Shen Wanzhong could get a word out, Yunshu cut in. Like your own. Then explain something. Show me one time you ever treated Mu Yun this way. Did you feed her leftovers, too? Dress her in rags while Mu Yun wore custom? Did you make her finish Shen Yishuan's homework, scrub the entire house, and let him ride her like a damn pony? Did you hit her on good days? Hit her harder on bad ones? Did you tell the maids they could order her around however they felt? So tell me, stepmother. Which part of that looks like treating her like your own? No. I never none of that happened. Zhou Qimeng's voice pitched higher. Are you saying Mu Yun and I hit you? Fine. This house has cameras everywhere. Pull the footage. She was going to flip this completely. No way in hell was she giving Yunshu an inch. At the word cameras, Shen Wanzhong's expression sharpened. Right. Let's check the footage. Don't bother. You already deleted it. Yunshu's gaze locked onto Zhou Qimeng, who was fighting to keep the smugness off her face. Exactly. She deleted it herself. That was the only reason she dared suggest it. But Yunshu's next words hit like ice water down her spine. Too bad you're an idiot. You only deleted the moments when the hits landed. Which means you left evidence behind. Shen Wanzhong, pull the footage. 5 days ago, backyard, 下午2点20分. Check the 40-minute mark. 7 days ago, first floor dining room, 9:15 a.m. 15-minute mark. 11 days ago, garden path, south side heading north, 1:50 p.m. 9 minutes and 20 seconds in. 15 days ago, second floor hallway, 11 p.m. 26 minutes and 38 seconds. I'll stop there for now. Any more and you won't remember them all. Yunshu rattled off the times and locations like she was reciting the alphabet. Every date. Every place. Every single beating. Every humiliation. All of it burned into her memory with surgical precision. Shen Wanzhong's expression shifted as she spoke. By the time he looked at her again, something heavy and complicated had settled behind his eyes. Zhou Qimeng couldn't breathe. She remembered everything. Every detail. She should have wiped the whole drive, not just the moments where fists met skin. Panic clogged up her throat. She shoved it down. No visible cracks. She clutched her chest suddenly, her face twisting in distress. Oh, my heart, it hurts. And then, smooth as stage acting, she crumpled, eyes fluttering shut. Shen Wanzhong didn't see it coming. His arms shot out and caught her. Kimai? What's wrong? Yunshu watched the performance with a cold sneer. Impeccable timing. Shen Wanzhong opened his mouth like he wanted to say something. Then stopped. Done. She was done with both of them. Yunshu turned and walked back to her room without looking back. In the study, Shen Wanzhong sat with his reading glasses on, staring at the screen as the video files played one after another. He checked every single time and location Yunshu had named. Exactly like she said. Every clip was missing. The timeline was riddled with gaps. Nothing matched. The footage that should have been there simply wasn't. Had Yunshu really been living like this all these years? The image of those bruises and scars surfaced again, and guilt pressed down on his chest, heavier than he expected. He and Yunshu's mother had loved each other. He'd been a nobody back then, a kid with empty pockets. She was the youngest daughter of a wealthy family, and she'd cut every tie to be with him. They married, built a company together. The business exploded. They had Yunshu. But he'd been young and stupid. Made a mistake. Got tangled up with Zhiheng. When his wife found out about the affair, she withered. Just faded. Died. Leaving him with their daughter. Looking back now, he'd been a pathetic excuse for a father. He never checked on her. And after everything that happened today, he hadn't even asked what led up to it before he was ready to beat her to death. He pulled off his glasses and sank into the chair, exhaustion settling in his bones. The way Yunshu had spoken today. The way she held herself. It kept looping in his mind. And then he thought about all the years before. He couldn't stop the thought from forming. That daughter who'd always been invisible, who couldn't even meet his eyes, who practically disappeared into the walls. When had she become someone else entirely? Every word. Every move. He saw his late wife in all of it. In the master bedroom, Zhiheng lay wide awake. She hadn't actually passed out, obviously. She glanced at the empty space beside her. It was late. Shen Wangzhong still hadn't come back. That never happened. An uneasy thought slithered through her mind. She got up and left the room. Knock, knock. She rapped on the study door. A long pause before his voice finally answered. Zhiheng stepped inside. The first thing she saw was the video footage pulled up on the desk. Just as she suspected. He was checking the cameras. Pretending she hadn't noticed a thing, she walked over, keeping her voice gentle. Honey, it's late. Come to bed. Shen Wangzhong finally looked up at her. His gaze was sharp. Weighing something. The silence stretched long enough that Zhicheng's skin started to crawl. Then he spoke, voice cold. Zhicheng. Yunshu is my daughter. Hearing her full name made her heart drop. He hadn't called her that in years. What the hell was this? But she couldn't show weakness. She stepped closer, arranging her face into delayed guilt. Honey, I already talked to Muyun. She admitted it. She gets out of line sometimes. I deleted the footage without knowing what really happened. It's my fault. I didn't discipline her properly. But I promise you, it won't happen again. There are 3 children in this house, plus all the household responsibilities. It's a lot to manage. Her voice cracked, and tears welled up right on cue. She looked like she was about to shatter. She was reminding him. 3 kids. An entire household. Of course things would slip through the cracks. Shen Wangzhong watched her. He was still upset, but thinking about everything she'd done for him over the years, his heart softened. He stood and wrapped his arms around her, voice warmer now. I still need you to run this house. Thank you. Zhicheng buried her face against his chest, sobbing like she was the victim. But inside, she knew. The fact that he'd said even that much meant he'd already forgiven her. As for that bitch, she had plenty of ways to deal with her. The next morning, Yunshu finished her run and walked into the living room. Fu Huaishang was already up. She didn't just refuse to talk to him. She refused to even look at him. But he spoke first. Been running? Yeah. Let's have breakfast together. No thanks. The last thing she wanted was to eat with her deadbeat dad and lose her appetite. I need to talk to you. His voice actually held a note of sincerity. Yunshu gave him a long look, then headed for the dining room without another word. A maid set out breakfast. Yunshu grabbed a roll and tore off a huge bite. Say what you need to say. I've got things to do. Fu Huaishang had planned to ease into a real conversation, maybe show some fatherly concern. Her cold dismissal shut that down instantly. I wasn't there for you before. I know that was wrong. I told your mother, I mean, your stepmother, that things will be different from now on. Yunshu held up a hand. Stop. She's not my mother. I don't claim her. Zhou Qimeng as a mother. That was a joke. And now he wanted to apologize. A little late for that. She finished the roll, picked up her knife and fork, and started on the meat. Fu Huaishang saw she had zero interest in his words. He pulled a red envelope from his pocket and slid it across the table. Buy yourself something nice. Yunshu glanced at the envelope, pocketed it without a flicker of expression. Fu Huaishang didn't know what else to say. Watching her wolf down her food only deepened the guilt gnawing at his gut. Slow down. There's no rush. Why wouldn't I rush? It's not like I ever got to it like this before. She swallowed the meat and attacked the eggs. You want to feel guilty? I'll make sure you drown in it. The look on his face confirmed she'd hit her mark. He looked completely wrecked. By the end of breakfast, Yunshu felt great. Fu Huaishang felt like garbage. For the first time in his life, the workaholic skipped the office. He wanted to bond with his daughter. But she stayed in her room all day, and the maid brought lunch up. Yunshu only came down for dinner. At the table, Zhou Qimeng eagerly heaped food onto Yunshu's plate, spouting sugary sweet nothings. Yunshu ignored her completely. Every bite Zhou Qimeng gave her ended up dumped into Fu Huaishang's bowl. After the third time, Fu Huaishang told Zhou Qimeng to stop. He glanced around, then asked, Where's Hongxian? We got back yesterday and he wasn't here. He's still gone today. Where did he go? Zhou Qimeng flinched. She'd been trying to reach her son all day, phone off, no answer. She hoped Fu Huaishang would be too distracted by his daughter's sudden reappearance to ask. No such luck. She fell back on her usual lies. Oh, his school organized a holiday study trip. He went off with the teachers. He should be back soon, I think. She speared a piece of braised meat and held it up. Try this, I made it myself. Fu Huaishang leaned in to take a bite. A sharp laugh cut through the air. Both of them turned. Yunshu. What's wrong? Fu Huaishang set down his chopsticks. She waved a hand. Nothing. I'm just curious. Since when do study trips involve going to a club? Her eyes locked onto Zhou Qimeng, brimming with challenge. What did you say? Fu Huaishang caught on immediately, his voice rising. He wheeled on Zhou Qimeng, eyes blazing. Is that true? Is that kid in a club? Fu Huaishang was a successful businessman, and he pinned all his hopes on Gu Hongxian as his heir. Education was everything. Hearing that his son was in a club instead of studying ignited his fury. Zhou Qimeng waved frantically. No, honey, listen to me. Hongxian is one club on the second ring road. Room 666. Yunshu cut her off, the address landing like a bomb. Zhou Qimeng had no escape now. Her face white, she grabbed Fu Huaishang's arm. Honey, he really is on the study trip. He doesn't even drink. Why would he be at a club? Go see for yourself. Why argue about it here? Yunshu leaned back in her chair, looking perfectly at ease. Fu Huaishang trusted Yunshu's word. He shoved Zhou Qimeng's hand away. Driver, get the car. He stormed out of the dining room, face dark. Zhou Qimeng ran after him, but he wouldn't let her come. She doubled back. Yunshu. If anything happens to my son, I'll make you pay. She snarled. With Fu Huaishang gone, the mask slipped. Yunshu got up lazily, a smirk curling her lips. Oh, really? Show me how you make me pay. Her taunting tone pushed Zhou Qimeng over the edge. You little brat. She never finished. A hard slap cracked across her face, sending her sprawling to the floor. Oh! She screamed, scrambling to fight back. Another scream tore from her throat, more savage this time. Yunshu's foot connected with Zhou Qimen's mouth. Blood poured out. If Yunshu hadn't pulled the kick, Zhou Qimen would be shopping for dentures tonight. She stepped closer, looking down at the woman clutching her bloody face. So this is why Xiaoyu kept ending up bruised. She had a mother like you. With a role model like this, no wonder she went wrong. Yunshu shook her head in mock pity. You deserved that. You. Zhou Qimen stared up at her. The cold, sharp eyes were terrifying. Yunshu had completely changed. Aren't you afraid I'll tell your father? She struggled to sit up, refusing to admit how shaken she was. Yunshu looked down at her, dead serious. No, I'm not. Go right ahead. Her eyes went icy. Tell him once, and I hit you once. Zhou Qimen's throat sealed shut. This Yunshu was a monster. That thought screamed in her head, but the words wouldn't come. Done with the scheming witch, Yunshu turned and headed upstairs. In her room, she pulled out the diary that had belonged to the original owner. She flipped to a page, took out a pen, and checked the box. The diary entry recounted the day Yunshu had been slapped by Zhou Qimen for accidentally letting slip that Fu Xinyu had skipped class. Yunshu closed the diary, walked to the desk, and opened her laptop. A few keystrokes later, the security feed from a bar popped up on screen. Right on cue, she watched Fu Huaishan storm into the bar with his driver. As the top mercenary in the parallel world, hacking into a system to pull up someone's info was child's play. Not long after, Fu Huaishan dragged a drunken Fu Xinyu back home. All hell broke loose downstairs. Zhou Qimen begging for mercy. Fu Xinyu's drunken rambling. Fu Huaishan's explosive rage. The whole scene was a glorious mess. The next morning, when Yunshu came downstairs to exercise, she spotted a maid cleaning up. Good morning, Miss Yun, the maid greeted. Yunshu glanced at the trashed living room. What happened here? Last night, the master was so angry he hit the young master and made him kneel until dawn, miss. Madam just took him to rest, so I'm tidying up early. So Fu Huaishan, who pushed his son to succeed, had finally snapped. Made him kneel all night. This was only the beginning. Zhou Qimen, your good days are just getting started. Yunshu looked at the scattered porcelain shards, then at the maid's bare hands. Put on some gloves. The young maid's heart warmed. The cold, aloof eldest daughter actually cared about her. That afternoon, Yunshu was working out in her room when she heard a knock. She opened the door to find the maid from earlier. Miss Yun, there's a gentleman downstairs asking for you. He says his surname is Gu. Yunshu raised an eyebrow. Okay. Let me change and I'll be right down. Gu Hangxian stood up from the sofa the moment he saw her. Good afternoon, Miss Yun. What do you need? Gu Hangxian picked up several gift bags from the table. Miss Yun, the eldest young master asked me to deliver this to you. Yunshu frowned at the luxury brand bags. Seeing her hesitation, Gu Hangxian pulled a gold-embossed invitation from his suit pocket. Please do us the honor, Miss Yun. When she still didn't take them, he shoved everything into her arms and strode away. I apologize, Miss Yun, but I have urgent business. By the time she looked up, he was already gone from the Fu residence. First time she'd ever seen anyone deliver gifts quite like that. Xinyu, who was that? Fu Huaishan's voice came from the stairs, Zhou Qimen trailing behind him. Something about the man's back had looked familiar. Someone delivering gifts, Yunshu said flatly. Gifts? He knew Fu Xinyu got presents from friends, but someone sending gifts for Yunshu. That was a first. Seeing Fu Huaishan's confusion, Zhou Qimen chimed in. Oh, Xinyu is a grown girl now. Nothing strange about getting gifts. She paused. Though I've never seen that man before. Zhou Qimen stressed the word man, and sure enough, Fu Huaishan's brow furrowed. He might not feel much fatherly affection for Yunshu, but fathers were always sensitive about the men around their daughters. Xinyu, Fu Huaishan said earnestly, you're still young. Be careful with certain men. Your father's right, Zhou Qimeng added quickly, a hint of grievance in her voice. You may not like hearing from me, but you should listen to him. Her precious son had been beaten black and blue last night because of that little bitch. If she didn't get revenge, her name wasn't Zhou Qimeng. Catching the insinuation, Yunshu slung the gift bags over her shoulder and replied meaningfully, I really should learn from you when it comes to dealing with men. She gave Zhou Qimeng a pointed look. After all, you and your cousin are so close. Zhou Qimeng's skin crawled under Yunshu's sickly sweet tone. Playing innocent. She'd been there, done that. Just as expected, Fu Huaishan's suspicious gaze swept over Zhou Qimeng. Yunshu had only received gifts from a stranger, but Zhou Qimeng and her cousin met far too often. With a scoff, Yunshu headed upstairs. She already knew the script. Zhou Qimeng would explain, beg, play the victim. No need to watch the rerun. In her room, Yunshu opened the gift bags. Inside, a luxurious cocktail dress, 2 bottles of scar cream, and an assortment of delicious dried meat. The invitation read in bold, powerful handwriting, Fu family patriarch's birthday banquet, the day after tomorrow. She set the other items aside, grabbed the dried meat, and dug in. She couldn't resist her meat obsession anyway. Fu Corporation. The colossal business empire stood at the city center's prime location, a landmark in the skyline. The 66-story building gleamed among its surroundings. During work hours, the group was a hive of activity. Employees bustled between departments, phone rings, keyboard clicks, and chatter blended into a steady hum. But on the top floor, the atmosphere was completely different. Fu Xingxi sat in his leather chair, reviewing documents with icy composure. The office was deathly quiet, broken only by the scratch of his pen. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the room in gold. The warm rays fell across Fu Xingxi's chiseled features, accentuating his sharp angles. His deep eyes glittered in the light, revealing the fierce intensity within. A knock. Gu Hongxian entered. Boss, I've delivered the items to Miss Yun. She didn't refuse. Recalling how he practically dumped the bags on her, he had to congratulate himself on his genius. Hearing that she accepted, Fu Xingxi lifted his head, a flicker of warmth in his gaze. After a few seconds, he said lowly, take the rest of the day off. Thank you, boss. Gu Hongxian shot a triumphant look at Li Jun, who ignored him completely. One more thing, boss, Gu Hongxian added. The Chen family is planning to make trouble for Miss Yun. He just received the intel. After all, Yunshu had knocked them back down to earth. Trouble was inevitable. This time, Fu Xingxi didn't look up. He simply said coldly, cancel your leave. What? Gu Hongxian yelped. How did reporting one piece of news get his day off revoked? Understood, boss. Not daring to ask, he could only slink away, defeated. As soon as Shangfu Muse stepped out of the office, Gu Hongxian grabbed his arm and pulled him aside. What's going on with him? First he gives me vacation, then he snatches it back. None of it made sense. Shangfu Muse shot him a look of pure disgust. He wants you to deal with the Hong family situation. Oh. So that's what this is about. Gu Hongxian finally connected the dots. Fine. He'd go. He learned the pattern by now. Every single time Miss Yun was involved, his break was right around the corner. The next day, Zhou Qimeng came home from the hospital. Yunshu heard the commotion downstairs and headed down, a trace of amusement flickering across her face. Mom, why do I have to switch rooms? Why can't she be the one who moves? Zhou Qimeng's arm was still in a cast, and the rage tightening her chest made it hard to breathe. She'd assumed her parents would take her side the second she walked through the door. Instead, her father told her to keep her temper under control. Her room had been stolen, and she wasn't even allowed to demand it back. It was infuriating. Youngju rubbed her daughter's good arm, her voice low and soothing. Baby, just be patient. Give it a little time. We'll find our opening. Your father already knows what we did to her before. You can't act out right now. I don't care. I want my room back. Zhiheng was past listening. She'd always been the one doing the bullying in this house. She had never been humiliated like this. Sweetheart, just listen to. You want the room. Oh. Youngju's gentle coaxing was sliced clean through by a cold voice behind them. She jumped. Zhiheng spotted Yunshu and instinctively shrank behind her mother. Yunshu stood with her hands clasped behind her back, a smile on her face. It sent a chill straight down Youngju's spine. Her daughters, too. Yunshu, don't get so full of yourself. Zhiheng's voice wobbled between hatred and fear. After all, she'd been beaten black and blue. I'm not full of myself. I'm just asking. Do you want your room? Yunshu walked over to the sofa and sat down. She picked up an apple and a paring knife from the table, peeling it with casual ease as she spoke. So what if I do? Zhiheng edged out from behind her mother. She was home now. Her mom was right there to protect her. There was no way Yunshu would dare try anything. What Zhiheng didn't know was that her doting mother had already been handled by Yunshu the night before. Yunshu glanced up at Zhiheng, her tone flat. You want the room? Too bad. She laughed, bright and completely unrestrained. Ha ha. You. Zhiheng lunged forward to hit her but yanked her leg back at the last second. She'd been terrified beyond reason that day. Her body still ached everywhere. Youngju's hatred for Yunshu ran just as deep, but she had far more self-control than her daughter. She pulled herself together quickly and tugged Zhiheng along. Come on. Let's go to our room. She knew she couldn't face Yunshu head-on right now. But if she waited, her chance would come. Yunshu watched the mother-daughter pair retreat in silent fury, then took a huge bite of the peeled apple. Crunch. Sweet. Back in her room, Zhiheng fumed. She snatched up her phone and made a call. Hey, Duo. What's going on, Kimai? Yesterday you said your family would take care of Yunshu. So, when are they making their move? The two had been in the same hospital the day before and agreed the Hong family would step in and destroy Yunshu. Now she couldn't wait a single second longer. On the other end of the line, Hongduo's voice shifted the instant she heard Yunshu's name. SHH, keep your voice down. Are you trying to get us killed? Hongduo cupped her hand around the phone. What's wrong? You told me your dad promised to avenge you. Zhiheng did not lower her voice. What are you so scared of? Zhiheng, we're best friends. Take my advice. Stop trying to get revenge on Yunshu. As for everything else, I can't say any more. I have to go. Hongduo hung up in a rush. Confused, Zhiheng tried calling her back, but the phone was already off. TCH, coward. You're just scared because she hit you. You're scared. I'm not. Hongduo, we're done. Zhiheng shouted at the deadline. A little while later, she slipped into her younger brother Fuxinyo's room and stayed there a long time. That evening, Shen Wangsheng came home from work an hour earlier than usual. Before dinner, he called everyone to the living room. And he made a point of going upstairs himself to invite Yunshu down. Shen Wangsheng sat at the head of the sofa. Yunshu lounged in the seat just below him. Youngju and her two children sat directly across from them. Everyone's here. I have something to say. Shen Wangzhong's face was stern. You are all my children. I will not let the past repeat itself. Your siblings. Before he could finish, Fuxinyo shouted across the room. Who's her sibling? She's an idiot. Beside him, Zhiheng shot Yunshu a defiant smirk. Dad cares about you now, right? Let's see how long that lasts after you cross his precious air. You little, what did you just say to me? Shen Wangzhong slammed his palm against the arm of the solid wood sofa. The crack echoed through the room. Xinjiao, don't talk nonsense. Yunshu is your sister. Yang Zhu grabbed Fu Xinyao's hand, signaling him with her eyes. The furious boy ignored her completely. I said she's an idiot. Wet the bed at 10 years old. That lasts in her class every single year. So ugly I'm embarrassed to admit we're related. I don't want a sister like that. Zhou Qimeng is my one and only real sister. Fu Xingyao fired off every insult, each one aimed squarely at Yunshu. Shen Wangzhong shot to his feet, pointing at him. Shut your mouth. Xinjiao, sit down. Do not speak to your father that way. No. I will not claim her as a Shen. So that's why Dad caught him drinking. The ugly one snitched. And she bullied his sister and stole her room. If he didn't get payback today, he wasn't fit to be the Shen family heir. Only then did Yunshu, who'd been picking at the dry skin on her fingers, finally look up at her so-called little brother. A cold smirk tugged at the corner of her lips. Fu Xingyao, I don't care whether you acknowledge me. I never planned on acknowledging you either. But if you're going to open your mouth, at least get your facts straight. Are you sure it was me who wet the bed? Or was it you? So terrified of being laughed at that you grabbed a stick, beat me for half an hour, and forced me to say it was me. My grades aren't your business, Yunshu. And you're the one who said good grades don't buy food. As for my face, take it up with Fu Huaishang. Those are his genes. Yunshu's voice stayed flat and cold, but something dangerous flickered in her eyes. She planned to deal with the little brat later. Now he'd come to her. Stupid. Fu Huaishang snapped. God damn it, Fu Xingyao. With his dirty laundry out in the open, Fu Xingyao had nothing left to lose. He didn't believe his father would actually punish him. She deserved it. She screwed with my sister. He never finished. Crack. The scream that tore out of Fu Xingyao was blood-curdling. Everyone froze. The solid wood coffee table suddenly hurled into the air. Yunshu had kicked it clean off the floor. It spun once, a dark blur, then slammed into Fu Xingyao. His legs were pinned tight between the table and the sofa. He couldn't move an inch. Mu Yun scrambled off the couch, retreating to the far side of the room. My son. Zhou Qimeng rushed forward, straining against the table, but solid wood that heavy wouldn't budge. Huishen, help him. Yunshu stood. She planted one foot against the table's edge and leaned in. Think before you open your mouth, Fu Xingyao. Or you'll end up someone else's pawn. Her gaze slid sideways and locked onto Mu Yun, who had gone pale as a ghost. Isn't that right, Mu Yun? Fu Huaishang followed her stare to his second daughter. The pieces clicked into place. But after what Fu Xingyao had done, he couldn't exactly ask Yunshu to go easy now. He sat down. While Fu Xingyao howled in pain, his father chose a seat and said nothing. Zhou Qimeng saw it. Her heart dropped, and she made a decision fast. She pressed her palms together and bowed. Yunshu, I'm begging you. Let Xingyao go. It's all my fault. Punish me instead. Just let him go. Tears streaked her face. A good mother, after all. Yunshu glanced at Fu Huaishang, then back at Zhou Qimeng growling in front of her. The corner of her mouth lifted. Don't bother. I wasn't going to do anything. Really? Thank you, Yunshu. Zhou Qimeng exhaled, shaky with relief. Debts must be repaid. I've got plenty of time to collect. She lifted her foot. The words drifted out light as air, but Zhou Qimeng felt them like an open palm. That little bitch was dead set on making their lives hell. Yunshu aimed one last unsettling smile her way and walked toward the dining room. Let's eat. Huishen. Zhou Qimeng turned to Fu Huaishang, sobbing. What are you looking at me for? Get someone to move the damn table. He stood and followed Yongshu into the dining room. Zhou Qimeng scrambled to call the servants. Fu Huaishang was furious. Loud and clear. In Fu Xinyou's room, Zhou Qimeng wiped over her son's swollen legs. Mom, don't cry. The doctor said it's superficial. No bone damage. Yongshu wouldn't dare do more than this. He had no idea. If Yongshu hadn't held back, his legs would be gone right now. She controlled her strength on purpose. Just like she said. The dead would be collected slowly. My good boy, just rest. Let yourself heal. Mommy will take revenge. Fu Xinyou was everything to Zhou Qimeng. That bitch laid hands on her son. She skinned her alive. And Fu Huaishang. His attitude today. Fine. Don't blame her for what came next. Zhou Qimeng left Fu Xinyou's room and knocked on Mu Yan's door. The instant it swung open, a sharp slap cracked across Mu Yan's face. Mom! She clutched her cheek. Why did you hit me? Did you say something to your brother? Is that why he went after Yongshu like that? Zhou Qimeng wasn't stupid. She pieced it together before Yongshu spoke. What she hadn't expected was her own daughter using her son as a weapon. Mu Yan's defiance crumbled into guilt. I only told him the truth. The truth? You put him in danger. If your father starts looking at Xinyu differently, what happens to the three of us? Differently. Dad's always favored sons. He doesn't care about Yongshu. You. Zhou Qimeng wanted to strangle her. How had she raised someone this stupid? Too furious to stay, she spat out, You behave yourself from now on. If you try anything like this again, I'll deal with you myself. Then she turned and left. Mu Yun watched her mother disappear down the hall and burst into sobs. When Zhou Qimeng returned to the bedroom, Fu Huaishang was already gone. The servants said he'd left for the office. So the man was already pulling away from them. 30 minutes later, Zhou Qimeng dressed up and walked out the front door. Yongshu lay stretched across her bed, flipping through the original owner's diary. A few minutes later, her computer pinged. She pushed herself up, opened the screen, and found a friend request waiting. She confirmed the identity, then accepted. Son, send me a detailed breakdown of that plan you mentioned the other day. Happy to pay. Number 1, it's expensive. Son, how much? Number 1, 2 million per sheet. 3 sheets total. Son, hold on. 3 seconds passed. Son, deal. Number 1, send the payment. You'll get the file. Ding. Yongshu checked the bank alert, tapped a few keys, and sent the first sheet. Son, received. Thanks. Son, can I get the second one tomorrow? Number 1, sure. Son, great. Also, are you a guy or a girl? Number 1, neither. Son, can we meet? The instant that message delivered, Yongshu's avatar went gray. She walked back to the bed, pulled up the covers, hit the lights, and closed her eyes. Outside a villa in the suburbs, the man who'd been waiting broke into a wide grin the second he spotted the familiar car. Li Man stepped out, and he was on her in a heartbeat, pulling her into a possessive hug. Babe, what took you so long? Su Mingyuan out of town. Out of town? He went straight to the office. He's not coming home tonight. Li Man's voice was tight with irritation. He caught the look on her face and pressed a kiss to her cheek. Hey, what's wrong? Who pissed off my girl? Come upstairs. You can tell me all about it in bed. His hands were already roaming. Why are you always so damn impatient? She scolded, but a smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. Su Mingyuan was 12 years older than her. An old man with a young wife. Between the company draining his time and energy, most nights he just didn't have it in him. The man saw exactly how easily his words got under her skin and laughed out loud. Admit it, you love it when I'm impatient. They headed upstairs together, still bantering. His name was Wang Shanggang. He was Li Man's lover, and the man she introduced to everyone as her cousin. They'd been together for 20 years. Back then, Wang Shangang had been nothing but a small-time contractor. But after he hooked up with his cousin Li Man, he started landing projects through the Su family. Now he ran his own company with a solid reputation. After they made love, Li Man lay curled against his chest and filled him in on everything that had gone down in the Su family the past few days. The moment he heard she and her 2 kids had been beaten by Su Xinyue, Wang Shangang shot upright in bed, swearing he had over right now and get revenge. It took Li Man a good long while to talk him down. Would you relax? What's storming over there and throwing punches going to fix? That bitch has been our punching bag for over a decade. She'll always be our punching bag. Right now, the company is what matters. That sobered Wang Shangang up fast. He opened the bedside drawer, pulled out an invitation, and handed it to her. Here. Took me a ton of effort to get my hands on this. What is it? Li Man opened the envelope and read the card inside. Her eyes went wide. The Fu family's invitation. Isn't Su Mingyuan always trying to partner with the Fu family? Give him this. It should be enough to cool him off after everything that's happened. And don't forget that contract I told you about. Make sure you get him to sign it. Li Man nodded. Don't worry. With this in hand, I guarantee Su Mingyuan will sign that contract. Just thinking about everything this invitation would get her made Li Man's heart sore. She threw herself into Wang Shengang's arms and pressed her lips to his. You're the best. I love you so much. Then love me one more time. Properly. He flipped their positions. The next morning, Li Man left the villa and drove straight to Su Corporation. In the office, Su Mingyuan looked up at her with obvious displeasure. Li Man pretended not to notice. She pulled out the lunch she'd picked up on the way and started setting it out. Yuangji, you've been working all morning. Come eat and take a break. Su Mingyuan ignored her, his eyes fixed on the contract in front of him. Li Man didn't let the cold shoulder get to her. She pulled the invitation from her bag and walked over to him. I was on the phone all night last night. Spent the whole morning calling in favors and begging people. This is for you. She set the invitation on the desk right beside his hand. I'll leave it there. Don't forget to eat. She made a show of turning to leave. Su Mingyuan picked up the invitation and glanced at it. Then he shot to his feet and caught her arm before she could walk out. Man, is this real? He couldn't believe it. The Fu family sat at the very top of high society. This wasn't just an invitation. It was a golden ticket into the inner circle. He spent years trying to get a connection with the Fu family. No matter how many favors he called in or how much money he threw at it, he'd never even gotten close to their doorstep. Old Master Fu's birthday banquet was an event only the top-tier families in the capital could attend. Even major power players would be there. The value of this invitation was insane. And now Li Man had handed it to him. This was huge. Fake. Throw it away if you don't want it. She said the opposite, on purpose. But Su Mingyuan knew her temper. She was still mad he hadn't come home last night. He pulled her into his arms, his voice softening. Man, don't be mad. It's just Xinyue is my daughter too. After what Nianru and Nianchen did to her, did you really think I could just let it slide? That girl's had a hard life. She lost her mother when she was little. You can't blame me for feeling something. Li Man put on a remorseful face. Unge, I know. I'll make sure Nianru and Nianchen behave from now on. We're a family. Let's not let this come between us anymore, okay? Seeing how reasonable she was being, Su Mingyuan felt it would be wrong to push further. He nodded. Good. We're still a loving family. He led her to a seat. Eat with me. After lunch, I'll take you shopping for a new dress. You need to look stunning for the banquet tonight. Sounds perfect. Li Man's smile was bright. At the Su residence. At 1 in the afternoon, Su Xinyue was jolted awake by her phone ringing. She fumbled for it, glanced at the number. Didn't recognize it. She hit decline. A moment later, the phone rang again. Same number. This time she answered. I'll pick you up for the banquet tonight. A cold mail voice began. But Su Xinyue was in full morning rage mode. The kind that flared whenever someone messed with her sleep. Without thinking, she snapped, not going. Then she hung up and turned the phone off. Su Xinyue didn't have many strong feelings about anything. Except one thing, waking her up. Especially when she'd been having a good dream. On the other end, Fu Yanchen stared at his phone, momentarily stunned. Zhiheng. His assistant hurried in. Yes, young master. When you delivered that invitation the other day, what did she say? Caught off guard, Zhiheng blinked. She. Su Xinyue. The man's voice dropped to a dangerous low, like a volcano about to blow. Zhiheng flinched. Oh, Miss Su didn't say much. She said nothing when she saw the invitation. Nothing at all. Zhiheng replayed the scene in his head. She didn't seem too keen on taking it, so I just shoved everything at her and bolted. He gave the honest play-by-play. Fu Huaishang's face darkened. A bit later, his voice cut through the silence. This year, next year, and the next 10 years of vacation all cancelled. Li Jun's holiday hopes evaporated right there. Shen Wangsheng and Zhou Qimeng got back from shopping at 3 that afternoon. The second they walked in, Zhou Qimeng rushed to her room to primp. Tonight's dinner party was a huge deal, and she wasn't about to slack off. Shen Wangsheng watched his wife and daughter get dressed up and felt a swell of pride. Then a thought struck him. Go find Yunshu a dress, he told Zhou Qimeng. Have her come to the dinner party tonight too. Hangduo's face soured instantly. She opened her mouth to argue, but one warning look from Zhou Qimeng shut her up. Zhou Qimeng hesitated, her expression thoughtful as she looked at Shen Wangsheng. Wangcheng, it's not that I don't want to bring her. She's just so shy. She's never been to a formal dinner like this. Tonight is crucial for you. There's a real chance you'll meet the right partners. If she does something wrong, it could reflect badly on you. She furrowed her brow, as if she were genuinely worried about his interests. Why don't we let her sit this one out? Next time there's a smaller gathering, we'll bring her along, let her ease into it. Does that work? Shen Wangsheng fell silent for a moment. Then he nodded. You're right. We won't bring her tonight. Next time a good opportunity comes up, we'll take her with us. Good. Let's head out. We can't be late tonight. Getting there early might help us find the right partner. Zhou Qimeng linked her arm through Shen Wangsheng's, Hang Duoduo trailing behind, and the three of them left the Shen residence. The moment they were gone, a line of luxury cars pulled up outside the Shen family gate. Li Jun stepped out and knocked. A maid opened the door and led him inside. Yunshu came downstairs slowly, still drowsy. Good afternoon, Miss Yun. Li Jun's smile was full wattage. Yunshu barely glanced at him. Not really. Li Jun blinked. She really had no interest in small talk. What do you need? She hadn't slept well during her nap and wasn't in the mood for conversation. Li Jun straightened. Miss Yun, Mr. Fu is here to pick you up for the dinner party. At the mention of Fu Huaishang, Yunshu's brow furrowed slightly. Li Jun braced for rejection, but instead she said, wait for me, and turned to go upstairs. Li Jun stared. Miss Yun was cooperating. So why had the big boss been so furious earlier? Whatever the important thing was, she was coming. He waited, relieved. 2 minutes later, Yunshu came back down. She'd only changed her shirt. Li Jun had expected her to take her time getting dressed up. He frowned internally. Miss Yun, we're going to a dinner party. But getting her there was his job. What she wore wasn't his concern. Miss Young, this way please. He led her out. Outside, a bodyguard stood by the luxury car. When he saw Young-shu, he opened the rear door. She slid in and looked up, meeting Fu Huaishang's gaze. Fu Huaishang looked devastating. His silver-gray suit was custom-tailored, the clean lines accentuating his tall, powerful frame. His dark hair was swept back, a few strands falling across his forehead. When he turned, the light caught the bridge of his nose, casting a shadow that highlighted the firm line of his mouth. His eyes, touched with a hint of foreign ancestry, held a distant, cold gleam alluring, impossible to read. As he swallowed, his Adam's apple moved above his tailored collar, a small, sensual detail. Didn't sleep well. His voice was low, fretted with concern. Young-shu nodded. I wake up cranky. Fu Huaishang's expression softened. He'd disturb her. I'll remember that. She gave him a slightly puzzled look. Today is my grandfather's birthday dinner. I want you there with me. His dark eyes locked onto hers, tiny flecks of light dancing in them, making her pulse stutter for a half second. But she recovered quickly. In exchange for that thing the other day. The air in the car thickened, grew heavy and still. The moment passed almost as quickly as it came. Fu Huaishang said nothing for a bit. Then he ordered, drive. The driver nodded, and the car pulled smoothly away. Fu Huaishang leaned back in his seat, silent. Young-shu was never much of a conversationalist, and right now she had no desire to start anything. She closed her eyes to rest. Time slipped by. Eventually, the car stopped in front of a high-end beauty salon. Fu Huaishang and Young-shu stepped out. The store manager had been hovering nearby. The second he spotted them, he rushed over, smile stretched wide. Good evening, Mr. Fu. Miss Young. Fu Huaishang gave a brief nod, then turned to Young-shu. Let's go inside and take a look. They stepped into the styling salon together. The salon was enormous and dripping with luxury. This wasn't just a boutique. It was a full-service styling studio with professional makeup artists and hair teams, every single one of them recruited from the very top of the industry. The city's elite were regulars here, and even A-list celebrities booked appointments. The manager led them straight to the gown section on the first floor. Rows of dresses gleamed under the lights, one after another. Runway pieces, limited editions, every last one a work of art. Fu Huaishang glanced sideways at Young-shu. See anything you like? A few stylists stepped forward, lifting more than a dozen gowns. Miss Young, would you like to look through these limited pieces? She was attending a banquet with Fu Huaishang tonight. Showing up looking the part wasn't optional. Young-shu didn't overthink it. Her eyes moved across the selection and stopped on a simple pearl white gown. Clean lines. Elegant cut. Understated but absolutely refined. The pearl white fabric caught the light and held it, glowing soft and quiet, almost aristocratic. She pointed. That one. The manager gestured, and the other staff withdrew. Right this way, Miss Young. We'll get you fitted and styled. Up on the second floor, 5 or 6 stylists moved in fast. Every detail got attention. Hair, makeup, the drape of the fabric. Nothing was left to chance. Time slipped by. Young-shu sat still in the chair and let them work. When they finished, she rose slowly and walked to the full-length mirror. She studied her own reflection. Her brows arched delicately, like crescent moons. Her eyes shone bright as stars. A light layer of lipstick had brought warmth to her whole complexion. Her hair fell in soft waves over smooth shoulders, polished but natural, carrying just a hint of gentleness and grace. The woman in the mirror smiled. There she was. The manager escorted Young-shu back downstairs. Fu Huaishang sat on the couch, scrolling through financial news. At the sound of footsteps, he looked up by instinct. The second his eyes landed on her, He went still. Time seemed to stop. Even Li Jun, who hadn't exactly expected much from Yunshu, stood there stunned. She was beautiful. The kind of beautiful that cuts through a dark sky like the brightest star. Completely impossible to ignore. She walked toward them in that simple mid-length gown. Every step was graceful. After the styling, she looked transformed. A different person entirely. The dress was the opposite of over-the-top. Simple, yes. But it played up every one of her strengths. Her figure looked more balanced and more flawless in it than ever before. In everybody's eyes, Yunshu had always been that useless heiress with nothing going for her. But the woman standing here right now blew that image to pieces. Her inner strength and outer beauty had fused into something unique, something that pulled focus and held it. A few days of decent meals had visibly improved her health. Her face no longer looked pale and drained of blood. Now it held a healthy flesh, almost dewy. Her body wasn't stick-thin anymore, either. There was a softness to it that made her even more attractive. And the scars. The ointment had slowly faded them until they were nearly invisible. The stylists had cleverly concealed any leftover marks so nothing distracted from her overall look. In this moment, Yunshu was beautiful. But it wasn't some generic, one-size-fits-all beauty. It was hers alone. Distinct. Personal. And it didn't come only from how she looked. It came from the confidence and resilience she carried inside. She walked up to Fu Huaishang. Decent. He stood, as if shaking off a dream. Just as he rose, the overhead light caught her and wrapped her in a soft glow. For one split second, Fu Huaishang saw her like a fairy with her own halo. Breathtaking. Stunning. His voice came out rough. He didn't hold back. A pause. By the way, I didn't bring a gift. Fu Huaishang shook his head, the corner of his mouth curving into a faint smile. You did. She blinked. He gave no explanation. Instead, his hand closed around hers. His dark eyes locked onto her face, and a flicker of warmth passed through them. Beside them, Li Jun nearly yelped out loud. His eyes went huge. His face flooded with shock. Was the boss seriously trying to? What was this? Robbing the cradle? No, that wasn't right. But before Li Jun could find the words, something even more horrifying happened. Yunshu looked down at the hand holding hers. 2 seconds later, she pulled free. No hesitation. One clean break. Let's go. It's late. Her voice stayed flat. She turned and walked toward the door without waiting. Li Jun's jaw came unhinged. Did she just reject the boss? He couldn't believe his own eyes. Did Miss Yun have any clue what she'd just done? Women would line up from the capital all the way to the coast for one chance with Fu Huaishang. And she just pulled her hand away. This was absolute insanity. But when Li Jun glanced at Fu Huaishang, he saw no anger on the man's face. If anything, there was something almost doting in his expression. During the drive, Li Jun kept stealing glances into the back seat. To his surprise, the two of them looked completely unbothered by what had just gone down. Fu Huaishang stayed silent. Yunshu sat beside him like a statue. Li Jun started to wonder if he'd imagined the whole thing. The convo rode into the Fu family estate. Under the lights, the grand manor looked especially dignified. Most of the guests had already arrived. The parking lot was packed solid with luxury cars. But Fu Huaishang's fleet didn't stop at the lot. They drove straight into the inner grounds. Outside the ballroom, people were everywhere, the atmosphere lively and buzzing. The moment the Rolls-Royce glided into view, the hum of conversation dropped to a hush. All eyes were fixed on the car. Everyone knew this wasn't just Master Fu's birthday banquet, it was Fu Xingyou's bride selection event. For years, the old man had been beside himself over his grandson's single status. He paraded girl after girl in front of him, good families, beautiful faces, flawless reputations. Fu Xinyu hadn't even looked. At this point, Master Fu was starting to wonder if his grandson even liked women. Tonight, every prominent young heiress in Beijing was here, all hoping to catch Fu Xinyu's eye. The one who did would lock in the social climb of the century. So when the Rolls-Royce pulled up, a surge of anticipation rippled through the crowd. The door opened. A figure stepped out. He was stunning. Powerful. Fu Xinyu in the flesh. The girls who'd been pining for him felt their hearts stutter. They adjusted their gowns, smoothed their expressions, praying they looked flawless when his gaze swept their way. But Fu Xinyu didn't head toward the banquet hall. He turned and walked around to the other side of the car. Puzzled looks flew through the crowd. Someone else was in the car. The door opened again. A young woman stepped out from the back seat. Fu Xinyu offered his hand. She placed her palm in his, and together they walked into the hall. He was tall, magnetic. She was striking and posed. They moved like a match set, as if they'd been designed to be seen side by side. Fu Xinyu's presence was overwhelming, but she wasn't diminished by it. Her grace and aura rose to meet his, and against him, she shone even brighter. Oh my God, who is that? Have you ever seen her before? She's gorgeous. What family is she from? Whispers flew through the guests. Everyone was on fire to know who this woman was. I have no idea. I'm losing my mind. One girl watched them glide past and let out a choked sob. My dream guy is taken. Li Jun stayed by the car, watching the pair disappear through the entrance. His chest ached from holding in his shock. Just minutes ago, he overheard CEO Fu Xinyu quietly asked Miss Yung to do him the favor of showing face in public. That alone had blown his mind. Inside, the banquet hall blazed like midday. A massive Swarovski crystal chandelier dominated the golden room, spilling pale gold light like a waterfall. Every corner glittered. Founding figure of the nation, Master Fu commanded honor and respect. Every guest here tonight was a heavyweight political powerhouses, military elite. Any one of them could rattle Beijing with a single stomp of a foot. The room hummed with clinking glasses and low conversation as clusters of guests mingled. Fu Xinyu led Yung Shu through the main entrance. Every conversation stopped. All heads turned. Who's the woman CEO Fu Xinyu has on his arm? I didn't know the Fu family had someone in mind. Fu Xinyu was used to being watched. His expression didn't flicker cold, unreadable. He glanced at Yung Shu, expecting nerves. Half the city's elite was staring. But she looked completely at ease. No tension. Just natural grace, a faint, effortless tilt at the corner of her lips. A flicker of pride crossed Fu Xinyu's eyes. They crossed the room to where Master Fu stood, surrounded by well-wishers. Grandfather, may you have health and peace. Fu Xinyu's voice was deep, respectful. Master Fu turned slowly. He'd been deep in conversation, and his weathered face held a trace of irritation. His own birthday banquet, and the bread had shown up late. Honestly, he deserved a swat. But the second his eyes landed on Yung Shu, they went wide. A heartbeat later, his dark expression brightened like clouds parting after a storm. The gloom vanished, replaced by something close to delight. Yung Shu stood beside Fu Xinyu like a flower in full bloom. Her pearl-white gown was simple but exquisite. She looked almost otherworldly, a fairy maiden stepping onto mortal ground. What struck Master Fu most was her presence. She matched his grandson beat for beat. Neither outshone the other. Grandfather, this is Yung Shu. Fu Xinyu's tone was low, steady. Then he turned to her, and his voice softened noticeably. Yuna, this is grandfather. Yung Shu blinked at the sudden nickname, a flicker of surprise crossing her face before she recovered. She knew how to behave at a formal occasion. She smiled politely. Hello, Master Fu. This was the first and only time Fu Xinyu had formally introduced a woman to the old man. The way their hands were linked said everything. They were far from casual acquaintances. Master Fu's heart practically soared. But he kept his composure. He responded. Master Fu, may you live as long as the eastern sea and as high as the southern mountain. Her voice was clear and pleasant, easy on the ears. Behind her, a security guard stepped forward with the birthday gift Fu Xinyu had prepared. Master Fu didn't even glance at it. He waved a hand, and an attendant took the package. The old man's eyes never left Yungshu. The longer he looked, the more satisfied he felt. He was already doing the math. If these two got married now, in a year, he'd be hosting a 100-day celebration for his great-grandson. That would make him far happier than any of his own birthdays. Across the room, every guest was still locked onto Fu Xinyu and Yungshu. Then Fu Xinyu spoke, addressing the room as much as his grandfather. Yuna is my date. Just those words. But they landed like a thunderclap. He called her his date, but anyone with half a brain knew it meant more. For the cold, untouchable CEO to publicly claim any woman as his date, that woman was nobody ordinary. Master Fu's joy deepened. His expression softened even more. Then he reached out and patted Fu Xinyu's shoulder. Once. It looked like an approving gesture. But the weight behind it was a warning. You better not mess this up. His grandson's wife. He couldn't be more satisfied. Hold on tight. If someone steals her from under your nose, don't expect me to be gracious about it. Xinjiao, take Xiaoyu around. Introduce her to the elders. Fu Xinyu nodded. Yes, grandfather. He reached for Xiaoyu's hand, ready to guide her away, but a sugary voice sliced through the room. Xinjiao, darling. The cooing pitch made Xiaoyu's skin crawl. She barely suppressed a shudder. They both turned. A tall girl in an aggressively lavish gown stood behind them, her eyes locked on Fu Xinyu. A practiced flash of shyness colored her cheeks. Xiaoyu might as well have been air. Xinyu, darling, I've missed you so much. Shangfu Muse batted her lashes, glancing up at him before dropping her gaze. But the instant she noticed Fu Xinyu's hand wrapped around Xiaoyu's, her fingers curled into fists at her sides. Fu Xinyu's expression remained glacial. He didn't even glance her way. As if she'd long grown accustomed to his frozen indifference, Shangfu Muse kept right on with that syrupy tone. Xinjiao, darling, it's been forever. Why won't you say something to me? Xiaoyu watched the spectacle unfold, the heiress practically flinging herself at a man who stood there like a block of ice, and couldn't help a flicker of dark amusement. Whoa! She's really committed to misreading the room. Just then, a middle-aged man in a tailored suit strode toward them, a broad smile stretched across his face. Master Fu, my apologies. Business held me up. I hope you'll forgive my tardiness. Shangfu Xiong bowed with polished sincerity. I wish you long life and abundant fortune. Master Fu dismissed it with a wave. Don't give it a second thought. Work always comes first. Shangfu Xiong smiled, nodded, then turned his attention to Fu Xinyu, approval flickering in his eyes. It's been too long, Xinjiao. Uncle Shangfu. Fu Xinyu's greeting was civil enough. Spotting his daughter standing there with a dazed look, Shangfu Xiong cleared his throat. Muse, aren't you going to pay your respects to Master Fu? Shangfu Muse snapped out of it and rushed forward to offer her birthday wishes. Master Fu, may you stand as strong and enduring as the pine. She grows lovelier every year, the old man said warmly. Shangfu Xiong, you raised a fine daughter. Shangfu Xiong dismissed it with a modest wave. Hardly. This girl gives me a headache every single day. As a matter of fact, she was supposed to sit for an exam today, but the moment she heard about your birthday celebration, she absolutely insisted on attending. She said she missed you, and she missed her Xinyu. The words were delivered with a helpless air, but the real message couldn't have been clearer. He was dangling his daughter's feelings for Fu Xinyu in front of everyone. Master Fu caught the implication perfectly. He chose to ignore it. Ha, kids just love a good party. Shangfu Mu's cheeks flushed. She lowered her gaze, looking faintly embarrassed. Master Fu, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm 20. Her eyes never once strayed from Fu Xingyu. Then, as if struck by sudden inspiration, she straightened with pride. Master Fu, not long ago I competed in a piano competition in countrywide. I took first place. Please, let me play a piece for your birthday. All right. With the old man's approval, Shangfu Mu swept toward the grand piano on the stage and settled onto the bench with exaggerated grace. As she passed, her gaze flicked brief, contemptuous toward Xiao Yu, who stood off to the side. Beneath the dazzling crystal chandelier, Shangfu Mu in her pink evening gown looked every inch the elegant performer. Her fingers danced over the keys, and a love concerto spilled into the hall like a flowing stream. The melody pulled every guest under its spell. Did you hear? One guest murmured. Miss Shangfu has been in love with CEO Fu since they were children. It's him or no one. What's so surprising about that? With the Shangfu family's standing, of course she aimed high. You have to admit, her piano playing is stunning. Absolutely. She said she won an award in countrywide. That's world class. Murmurs of admiration rippled through the crowd. Sensing the approval, Shangfu Mu's lips curved into a smug little smile. Come on. Fu Xingyu's focus never shifted from Xiao Yu. Let me get you something to eat. Xiao Yu gave a small shake of her head. She's actually decent. Do you want to stay and listen? Whatever you want. He would stay or go. It made no difference to him. The piece ended. The hall erupted in thunderous applause. Shangfu Mu smiled with practiced grace, rose like a preening white swan, and descended from the stage. Master Fu, how did you like it? She practically skipped over to the old man. Beautiful, truly beautiful. It seems our muse has grown up after all. The smugness on Shangfu Mu's face only deepened. Xiao Yu turned to Fu Xingyu. Let's go. He nodded, his grip tightening around her small hand. The moment they turned to leave, Shangfu Mu's voice cut through the air. Hey! You must be Xingyu's date, right? She hurried over and planted herself in front of Xiao Yu, her eyes raking up and down in critical assessment. Xiao Yu met her stare without flinching and gave a single nod. Shangfu Mu's lips curled into a nasty, self-satisfied smile. Well then, since you're Xingyu's date, I'm sure you got some talents of your own, don't you? Why don't you play something? Wish Master Fu a happy birthday. The challenge was blatant. And by dragging Master Fu's name into it, she made refusal that much harder. She was angling to force Xiao Yu to humiliate herself in front of everyone. Xiao Yu looked at that smug, self-satisfied face and felt a wave of exasperation rise inside her. Do rich heiresses ever actually grow up? That tired old trick shoving someone else down to make yourself look taller. Don't you ever get bored? Miss Shangfu, Xiao Yu said, her tone flat but carrying far enough to make the nearby guests turn and listen. Are you trying to embarrass me just so you can feel superior? Shangfu Muse froze. She hadn't expected Xiao Yu to call her out so bluntly. I'm not scared at all. It's Master Fu's birthday. As the younger generation, the least we can do is offer our respects. Zhou Qimen's voice dripped contempt. You're too scared to perform, aren't you? Probably because you've got no talent whatsoever. She gave Yunshu another slow, dismissive once-over. But honestly, I shouldn't be surprised. Every well-bred girl in Beijing is a friend of mine, and I've never seen your face before. The words landed with practiced superiority, making it painfully clear she thought Yunshu came from nowhere. Fine. If you don't have any skills, that's okay. I completely understand. She said it lightly, almost sweetly, but the mockery gutted Yunshu right there in front of everyone. The guests nearby fell silent. Every gaze locked onto Yunshu. Her expression went cold. Something dark flickered in her eyes. "Kiman, that's enough." Luo Junchen's face hardened as he stared at his daughter. "Father, I'm not causing trouble. I'm just stating facts." And nobody like her shows up as Fu Huaishang's date. Zhou Qimeng intended to strip away Yunshu's mask and make her understand exactly how far out of her league Fu Huaishang really was. "Zhou Qimeng." Fu Huaishang's sharp voice cut through the room, making everyone jump. His face turned to ice, the kind of ancient cold that rises off a frozen lake and freezes the air itself. Zhou Qimeng flinched at the roar. Fu Huaishang opened his mouth again, then stopped. The small hand tucked inside his palm had just scratched lightly against his skin. That unexpected touch jolted him. He turned on instinct and met Yunshu's gaze. She shot him a look that said, "Hold on. Not yet." Fu Huaishang swallowed the fury rising in his chest. What was she planning? Was she seriously going to swallow this insult? He leaned in close, voice low against her ear. "Do whatever you want. I've got your back." Yunshu gave a small nod. Zhou Qimeng caught the moment and her confidence swelled. She expected Fu Huaishang to explode at her. Instead, he stopped himself. That made her smile with even more arrogance. Master Fu stood off to the side, old eyes gleaming with calculation. He watched everything in silence, curious to see how this woman his grandson had taken an interest in would handle the pressure. Yunshu stepped forward. Her posture was relaxed but proud. Her voice came out calm and even. "Miss Zhou, your talents are unmatched. I wouldn't dare compare myself to you." She paused. "But as you said, today is Master Fu's birthday. As the younger generation, we should offer our blessings. How about this? I know a little piano. I'd like you to lead me through a piece for Master Fu. Would you be willing, Miss Zhou?" Her gaze settled on Zhou Qimeng, steady and unreadable. Zhou Qimeng heard the request and curled her lips like a victor. "Since you're begging, I'll reluctantly guide you through something." "Thank you, Miss Zhou." The corner of Yunshu's mouth curved into a faint, unsettling smile. Luo Junchen watched her, an odd unease coiling in his gut. Something felt off here, but he couldn't name it. With a nod from Master Fu, the butler Su Zongyuan had a piano brought in and centered in the living room. "Hey! What's going on?" Zhou Qimeng and Yunshu were about to step onto the low stage when a teasing voice rang out from behind. Everyone turned. A man in a flashy blue suit strode in through the main entrance, drawing every eye. The young women in the room fixed him with eager stares. San Haochen walked straight to Master Fu and greeted him with respect. "Master Fu, I'm late. Please don't hold it against me. Happy birthday. May you stay young at heart." He presented his gift with a flourish. Master Fu's expression softened into a kind smile. "Hokan." Still as lively as ever. After a quick exchange, San Haochen turned and spotted Fu Huaishang standing with Yunshu. His heart skipped. So Brother Huai really did have a girlfriend, and he brought her to meet the old man. That was no small thing. He steadied himself and walked over, greeting them warmly. "Brother Huai." "Sister-in-law." That single word sister-in-law made Zhou Qimeng bristle. "Brother Haochen, what are you calling her? She's just Brother Huai's date. Not his wife." She stressed the word date like she was underlining Yunshu's low status. San Haochen was quick. In a flash, he caught the tension crackling through the air. Zhou Qimeng didn't want any more interruptions. She raised her voice, rude and impatient. "Can we hurry this up? If you keep dragging your feet, I won't play with you." Without waiting for an answer, she strode onto the platform like a proud peacock and sat at the piano. Yunshu followed without hurry and took her seat beside her. Down below, San Haochen moved close to Fu Huaishang and murmured, "Brother Hua, what kind of show is this?" Fu Huaishang ignored him completely. Unfazed, San Haochen stepped back to where Li Jun stood and lowered his voice. "Li Jun, what's going on?" Li Jun filled him in, worry threading through his tone. Miss Yoon was still young, easy to provoke, and Zhiheng had trained at a top music school since childhood. If things went wrong, it would embarrass their CEO. Sun Hachen listened, then nodded thoughtfully. He studied Yoon-shu on the stage for a long moment before he spoke, his voice carrying meaningful weight. Li Jun, time for another lesson from Master Sun. Li Jun blinked. What? Never jump to conclusions before the curtain falls. Master Sun means, Li Jun started to ask, but Sun Hachen pressed a finger to his own lips. Just then, music drifted from the stage. Zhiheng had struck the opening notes. With her exquisite skill, the beginning was effortless. Muyan's fingers flew across the keys, precise and flawless. Every note landed exactly where she wanted it. Then, without warning, she picked up the tempo. The music poured out like a storm, catching everyone off guard. Difficult runs and sharp key changes hit in rapid succession. The guests finally understood what she was doing. She was deliberately trying to humiliate Yoon-shu. With skill like that, how could Yoon-shu possibly keep up? Whispers spread like rising water. I told you she shouldn't have agreed to this. She's just asking to be humiliated. Yeah, Miss Mu might be pushy, but she's got real talent. Think she'll miss the beat? If Yoon-shu can follow, won't that make Brother Chen look bad? The crowd murmured. Even Li Jun started sweating for Yoon-shu. But Brother Chen and Sun Hachen both sat rock still, completely unbothered. After a dazzling display of double-note runs, Mu Yoon launched into 2 full octaves of technique, pushing the piece to a new level of difficulty. She finished by locking the melody on the highest note. There. Your turn. She lifted her hands and looked down at Yoon-shu, a flicker of contempt in her eyes. Thanks for the warm-up. Yoon-shu slowly lifted the piano lid. The first note landed like thunder. The entire banquet hall seemed to shake. Unlike Mu Yan's soft, flowing style, Yoon-shu's music struck with a metallic edge like war drums, making everyone sit up straighter. Mu Yoon had played at the highest register. Yoon-shu stayed right there, matching her note for note, refusing to back down. The keys vibrated violently under her fingertips. Every note felt alive, charging forward like thousands of soldiers. High notes cut through the air like drawn swords. Low notes pressed down like an advancing storm. The banquet hall transformed into an ancient battlefield, smoke and steel thick in the air. 2 seconds in, Mu Yan's smug expression drained of color. Her eyes went wide. She couldn't believe Yoon-shu had picked up the beat so easily and then taken it further. No. Her notes were actually better. Mu Yoon glanced around. All the guests were looking at Yoon-shu with admiration. No. I can't let her outshine me. I'm the best. Determined not to lose in front of everyone, she jumped back in, turning it into a full-blown duel. The ballroom became a battlefield. 2 armies clashing, blades meeting, the sounds of battle echoing in every chord. At first, Mu Yoon held her own. They went back and forth, neither giving ground. But after the first exchange, she started to slip. Yoon-shu's presence was overwhelming. Her music surged like a tidal wave, unstoppable. Mu Yoon had always played lyrical pieces. Against Yoon-shu's storm of sound, she struggled to keep up. Still, she refused to admit defeat. When the second round started, she began deliberately sabotaging the piece. Discordant notes small but sharp stepped into Yoon-shu's battlefield rhythm, messing up the flow. Mu Yoon felt a smug satisfaction. This will throw her off. She'll have to stop. But that's not what happened. Right when Mu Yoon thought she had ruined the performance, Yoon-shu shot her a look one full of cold, deliberate murder. Then Yoon-shu dropped her key. The whole world seemed to fall silent. A bone-deep chill swept through the room. After that brief stillness, Yoon-shu's fingers became lightning. A torrent of thunderous chords exploded, woven with rapid, spinning runs. Her hands blurred across the keys, so fast it was almost impossible to follow. Mu Yun was completely outclassed. The speed of Yun Shu's fingering, even her own teacher would struggle to play that fast without mistakes. But Yun Shu made it look effortless. Smooth. Perfect. After one final high note, Mu Yun finally understood the gap between them. She dropped her hands, giving up. She had nothing left against Yun Shu, not in skill, and not in presence. With the interference gone, Yun Shu's performance unfolded like a magnificent painting. The music painted soldiers charging into battle, fighting for their country, and finally returning victorious. When the last heavy chord landed, the hall went dead silent. Everyone was still lost in the music. Then Brother Chang's grandfather, tears in his eyes, started clapping. His applause cut through the silence like thunder. And then the whole room erupted. Waves of cheers and clapping crashed from every direction. Wow, I actually saw a battlefield in that piano sound. One guest clutched his chest, excited. Yeah, I thought only the Gushen could paint a picture like that. My eyes have been opened today. Look at Miss Mu, is she about to cry? Let her cry. Miss Yun was incredible. Another guest gave a thumbs up toward Yun Shu. Brother Chen, your wife's piano skills are insane. I'm fired up. San Haochen said, grinning at Brother Chen. He shook his head in admiration. Brother Chen really did have the best taste. Nobody picked a woman like him. Despite her young age, Yun Shu had a depth he couldn't begin to touch. As Master Fu's words faded, a look of quiet pride settled across Fu Huaishan's face. His gaze locked on her, soft, brimming with warmth and a love he couldn't hide. She rose from the piano bench. The hall erupted again, applause rolling through the room like thunder. But Yun Shu's face showed nothing. No arrogance. No self-satisfaction. She was completely calm. The piano. She knew the basics. Nothing more. But as a top-tier bodyguard, her reflexes were drilled into her. Those tricky scales and impossible key changes. They took nothing more than a little technique and flawless speed. As for world-famous classical pieces, she didn't know a single one. What she knew was the blood and fury of thousands of warriors. Miss Zhou, thank you for the opening. Yun Shu's voice was crisp. But hearing those same words now hit differently. Zhou Qimeng stood frozen on the stage, her whole body trembling. Tears pricked the corners of her eyes. She was seconds from breaking down, but she forced herself to hold it together. She stumbled off the stage, rushed straight to Master Fu, gave a quick bow, and ran out without looking back. Forgive me, Master Fu. My daughter was out of line today. I'll come apologize properly another time. Zhou Qimeng's father wasted no time. He chased after her without another word. Inside, he sighed. His reckless daughter had finally learned there was always someone better. Yun Shu stepped off the stage and walked directly to Master Fu. She bowed slightly, her voice apologetic. I'm sorry, Master Fu. Playing that piece at your birthday banquet, please forgive me. Master Fu waved a hand immediately. Girl, don't ever say that. He let out a long, shaky breath. I've lived through countless storms. I've fought more battles than I can count. To relive those glorious years through your music at my age, I should be thanking you. He grasped her hand tightly, his eyes gleaming with emotion, nostalgia for the past, approval for her. Uncle Zhong. The attendant stepped forward with an antique box and handed it to Master Fu. Fu took it and pressed it into Yun Shu's hands. Girl, this is my gift to you. Don't refuse. Yun Shu looked down at the delicate box, slightly bigger than her palm. After a pause, she accepted it with both hands. Thank you, Master Fu. Good. At his exclamation, the guests started buzzing. What do you think it is? A woman whispered. Definitely not money. In the Fu family, cash is the cheapest thing, someone replied. Obviously. A man like Master Fu wouldn't give that. I bet it's a family heirloom, another guest said. Then one man cut in bluntly, "Stop guessing. The real point is, Master Fu has accepted Miss Yun. So for our daughters, forget it." A collective sigh rippled through the hall. Yes, Fu Huaishang was off the market. "Huaishang, take the girl to rest for a while." Fu Huaishang walked over, took Yunshu's hand, and nodded. "Yes, grandfather." They left the main banquet hall and stepped into a private lounge. The moment she crossed the threshold, Yunshu kicked off those torturous high heels. She pulled her hand from his grip. Fu Huaishang stared at his empty palm. Something cold settled in his chest. "Anything to eat?" Yunshu was starving. Yes. "Miss Yun, wait right here. I'll take care of it." Li Jun had become her biggest fan. He scurried off without waiting for Fu Huaishang's order. "I'll eat, then I'm leaving. We're even." Yunshu dropped onto the sofa, her expression blank. "Even?" That one word cracked Fu Huaishang's icy mask, piece by piece. A few seconds later, he walked over and crouched down. His tall frame came to her eye level, his dark pupils reflecting only her. "Yunshu, I like you." His voice was low, threaded with something tender. This was the first and only time he'd ever confessed to a woman. He'd met countless women in his life. But it wasn't until Yunshu that he understood what like really meant. It was the moment an angel whispered in his ear. "Fu Huaishang, look. She's your soulmate." When he saw her beat down her vicious stepsister, he admired her decisiveness. But when he saw her hurt, he felt the pain himself. And when she said they were even, that she wanted to cut ties clean, the heart beneath his chest beat wildly out of rhythm. Right now, he just wanted to tell her how he felt. He wanted her to stay. Yunshu froze. His words hit like a thunderclap. She hadn't expected him to say that. Like a man. No. Man only slowed her down. She'd never been in love before, and she wasn't about to start now. She looked at Fu Huaishang for several long seconds. Then her voice came out cold. "I don't like you." Calm. No emotion at all. At that exact moment, Li Jun wheeled in a cart full of food. "Miss Yun." He stopped mid-sentence. His blood ran cold at the sight of Fu Huaishang crouched in front of her. Just then, Yunshu's stomach growled. "CEO Fu, I'm really hungry." Right now, all she wanted was that food. Fu Huaishang rose to his feet and walked to the door. As he passed Li Jun, he said, "Take Miss Yun home." "Yes, sir." Li Jun answered carefully. What was wrong with the CEO? A second ago, everything had been fine. The banquet was winding down, but Zhou Qimeng was still pacing outside the main hall like a cat on a hot tin roof. She was desperate for any scrap of news from inside, and she couldn't get in. Master Fu's birthday banquet was split into 3 halls. The main one held family, close friends, and key business partners all celebrating with the old man himself. The other 2 halls were for extended family friends and secondary partners. She was only there because Wang Shangang had gone through hell to score an invitation, spending a fortune in time and money, but it was just for a side hall. She couldn't set foot in the main one. For Zhou Qimeng, who was dying to land Fu Huaishang, that was a crippling blow. The banquet was almost over, and she hadn't even caught a glimpse of him. She paced in front of the main entrance, but no matter what she said, the Fu family's bodyguards refused to let her in. All she could do was stand outside, straining to catch the sounds drifting from inside. A piano. Applause. And then words like Miss Yun and Fu Huaishang that made her blood boil. She cursed under her breath. In this rule of law society, how could they treat her like this? Who the hell was this Miss Yun who'd suddenly popped up, stealing the spotlight at Master Fu's banquet? And since when did Beijing have another heiress sharing her last name without her knowing? No, Wei Yun wasn't her surname. The last name was different. Still, it felt like a monkey show, and she was stuck outside. Staring at the closed doors and the stone-faced full bodyguards, Zhiheng gave up and slunk back to the side hall. If the banquet wasn't over yet, she might as well use the chance to network with some eligible young men. In a secluded corner of the garden outside the side hall, a jaw-dropping scene was unfolding. Young Zhu was tangled in a steamy embrace with a heavy-set man, completely ignoring the public setting. "My sweet Zhu, why haven't you contacted me in so long?" the man breathed, pressing himself against her. He was Gu Hongxian, a full family business partner. Young Zhu bit her lip, terrified of making a sound, but a soft moan slipped out. "Oh, a little, oh." She choked out. "I can't hold back. I'm gonna." The man's words turned filthy, enough to make anyone's face burn. But the spectacle didn't last long. They both finished fast. Young Zhu scrambled to straighten her dress and darted out of the corner. Gu Hongxian followed, a satisfied smirk on his face. "All right, let's split up. Remember what I told you," she said, giving him one last look. "Don't worry. We worked together before," Gu Hongxian replied with a loose grin. "I'll be waiting for you at the hotel the day after tomorrow." Young Zhu shot him a final glance, a flicker of invitation in her eyes. Inside the hall, Shen Wangzhong had long since passed out in his chair, mumbling, "Mr. Gu, give me a chance, cooperation." Young Zhu spotted him and her temper flared. Shen Group wasn't small, but in this sea of full family connections, it was nothing. Shen Wangzhong showing up here was like a tiny fish in a vast pond. His glass had been raised again and again, yet he hadn't locked down a single verbal agreement. Ever since Zhicheng's mother passed away, it was the matriarch of the Shen family who had died. The Shen family's business had stalled. After Young Zhu married in, an e-commerce reform hit, and things slid downhill year after year. Shen Wangzhong worked hard and took the pressure, but every time the company showed a little improvement, it would bleed money again for no clear reason. Over time, he'd grown exhausted, barely hanging on. He hoped today would bring some breakthrough, but the results spoke for themselves. Disappointment and alcohol had knocked him out cold. Young Zhu scanned the hall and spotted Zhicheng chatting happily with some overseas-educated rich kid. She sent Zhicheng a quick message, then dragged the deadweight Shen Wangzhong back to the Shen residence. Luo Zhongchen finished his rounds with the elders and went looking for Fu Huaishang. He finally found him in the restroom. Staring at the closed door, Luo Zhongchen shot a slight grin at Li Jun, who stood nearby. "Li, is it getting hot and heavy in there?" Li Jun replied flatly, "Mr. Luo, it's just Mr. Fu in there alone." "What? Where's my sister-in-law?" "Sister-in-law?" Li Jun looked puzzled. When had the CEO gotten married? And when had he picked up a sister-in-law? Seeing his confusion, Luo Zhongchen patiently explained, "Miss Yun. The one your CEO was holding hands with earlier." Li Jun finally caught on. "Mr. Luo, Miss Yun is in another restroom. The CEO just came from there. They're not together." Luo Zhongchen thought for a second. Did they have a fight? Li Jun stayed silent. He didn't know the reason either. "Forget it. No point asking you anyway. I'll check myself." With that, Luo Zhongchen pushed open the door. The moment it swung open, a thick cloud of smoke hit him, nearly choking him out. "Damn, Huishen. Are you trying to smoke yourself into a mummy?" He fanned the air as he stepped inside. Fu Huaishang stood quietly by the window, his figure hazy through the smoke. A cigarette burned between his fingers, on his right hand, smoke curling upward. At his feet, cigarette butts littered the floor. Fu Huaishang almost never smoked. Luo Zhongchen had grown up with him, and this was only the second time he'd ever seen him with a cigarette. Right now, Fu Huaishang's tall, straight frame seemed somehow sunken. He'd taken off his suit jacket, and the top two buttons of his shirt were undone, revealing a hint of tan skin. On the surface, nothing had changed. But Luo Zhongchen could feel it an overwhelming, unspeakable sadness radiating from him. Sadness. Luo Junchen's heart clenched. He strode over. Huishen, what's wrong? Talk to me, brother. Did you and sis-in-law have a fight? Let me tell you, women need to be coaxed. You can't always be so cold, man. Mistaking the situation, Luo Junchen rambled on with his romantic insights. Fu Huaishang's irritation was climbing, and he was about to tell him to get lost when Luo Junchen added, "Want me to give you some advice? Guaranteed to make her love only you." The haze in Fu Huaishang's eyes cleared instantly. He dropped the cigarette butt, turned around, and fixed his gaze on Luo Junchen. What's the solution? Wait, what? Shan Yishuang couldn't track Fu Huaishang's sudden swerve. He just stared at him, still scrambling to catch up. You said something a minute ago. I said something. Shan Yishuang's brain reversed at full speed, replaying his own words. He said a lot. Which part? All right. I said I could teach you a few moves, make sure. Fu Huaishang cut him off before he could finish. I asked what your idea was. His tone dropped a few degrees. The way he locked eyes with Shen Yishuang, it felt like he might freeze him solid where he sat. There's tons of options, Shen Ji. The chill crawling up Shen Yishuang's spine was real, but he pushed through it. You could float some rumors, make your wife jealous. Give her a little urgency, you know. No, Fu Huaishang killed it without a heartbeat of hesitation. Why not? Look, Shangji, this stuff always works. Women get jealous so easy. Fu Huaishang shut him down again. She said she doesn't like me. His voice barely cleared a whisper. Doesn't like wait. What? Shen Yishuang practically launched out of his chair, his pitch jumping an octave. Your wife told you she doesn't like you. So you two aren't even together. His eyes went wide. You confessed. And she shut you down. That's what you're telling me. Fu Huaishang nodded, looking completely defeated. Shen Yishuang stared at him and knew, instantly and with total certainty, that he never should have come tonight. This was Fu Huaishang. First woman he'd ever been interested in, 29 years on this earth. And she rejected him. Who would believe that? But the part that really melted his brain was this. Miss Yun actually turned down Shangji's confession. What the hell was going on? Shen Yishuang felt his mental processor about to blue screen. So, Shangji, could you maybe tell me how you two met? He asked, careful now. Then I could work out something specific from the details. No. What? Blunt as a hammer. Then how am I supposed to? Shen Yishuang's voice trailed off. His brain was seconds from overheating when Fu Huaishang spoke again. Figure out a plan, and the car parked out front is yours. His tone stayed cold and flat like a hyper-limited supercar, one of only 3 in existence, was no big deal at all. Yes. Sir. Shen Ji. I will not let you down. Mission guaranteed. After a full dinner, Yunshu left the Fu family estate with the driver. By the time Fu Huaishang came looking for her, the parlor was already empty. In the car, the driver couldn't stop raving about Yunshu's piano performance. He called it breathtaking and kept layering on more praise, one compliment after another. But about what he'd witnessed Fu Huaishang kneeling beside her he didn't breathe a single word. He didn't dare. When they pulled up to the Yun family's front gate, Yunshu was about to turn and head inside when the driver suddenly spoke up. Miss Yun, my boss really is a good man. Her brow flickered, but she smoothed it away almost instantly. She answered, flat. Then she walked straight inside without another word. The Yun family living room was empty. Zhou Qimeng hadn't come home yet. Yang Zhu was upstairs dealing with a very drunk Su Zongyuan. Yunshu, still in her gown, reached her bedroom door and nearly collided with Shen Wangzhong stepping out of the room next door. You're Yunshu. He squinted at the woman in front of him. This elegant, Striking woman with those fine features, how could she possibly be that ugly, sobbing mess of a Yunshu? He honestly wondered if his eyes were playing tricks on him. Yunshu's gaze dropped to Shen Wangzong's knee. Cold. No warmth at all. Knee healed? She asked, her voice icy and perfectly flat. That one sentence was all it took. Shen Wangzong knew it was her. Because he remembered with perfect clarity the look she'd given him yesterday when she kicked him, that same cold, merciless stare. He started to curse, but when his eyes met hers, he froze, mouth open, nothing coming out. Yunshu didn't spare him a second glance. She turned and walked into her room. The door slammed shut. Only then did Shen Wangzong snap out of it. Who do you think you are? He muttered under his breath. Put on a dress and you think you're a princess. You're just the shoe shiner standing next to one. After washing up, Yunshu opened her laptop and logged into her account. At the same moment, a transfer notification came through. She verified the amount was correct, then sent over the final design drawings. Just as she was about to log out, a message popped up. Captain Zhou, Master, interested in switching jobs. High pay. Number 1, not interested. Captain Zhou, any chance we can work together again? Number 1, depends. She didn't wait for a reply. Yunshu logged out and blocked him. Captain Zhou stared at the message failed to send notification, a row of dark lines practically forming across his forehead. After a beat, he picked up his phone and dialed. Captain, all design drawings received. Request denied. I've been blocked. Yunshu sat in front of her computer, eyes fixed on the search results for Fu Huaishang. Page after page opened, but there was almost nothing on him or the Fu family, just a handful of entries. Fu Huaishang, 29. Head of the Fu Corporation. Controlling shareholder of the Y Consortium in Europe. Nothing about the old man at all. She picked up the box and studied it closely. It looked old, with visible marks of age across its surface. Opening it, she found a keepsake resting quietly inside, one that revealed the old man's identity. She hadn't expected him to give her something this precious. After a long moment, Yunshu closed the box slowly and put it away with care. When she moved to shut down the computer, Fu Huaishang's name caught her eye again on the screen. A restless feeling stirred in her chest. The next morning, Zhou Qimeng returned to the Yun family right in time for breakfast. When Su Zongyuan asked where she'd been, she said she'd stayed at a classmate's place overnight. He clearly wasn't satisfied with that answer and launched straight into a lecture. After breakfast, Fu Xinyu slipped into Zhou Qimeng's room, buzzing to share what he'd seen the night before. Sis, you are not gonna believe this. I saw Yunshu last night in a gorgeous gown, wearing makeup. Zhou Qimeng narrowed her eyes. You were seeing things? Absolutely not. Yunshu didn't own a gown, let alone know how to put on makeup. I'm serious. I saw her clear as day. She definitely went to the Fu family banquet. Fu Xinyu dug his heels in. Oh, come on, little brother, don't be so naive. That banquet isn't open to just anyone. You need an invitation. The memory of those strictly tiered invitations sealed Zhou Qimeng's certainty. There was no way Yunshu could have ever gotten in. When Fu Xinyu realized she didn't believe a word, he tried to push harder. But Zhou Qimeng hadn't slept all night. She kicked him out without another thought. 2 days later, the break was over. The new semester started at the private school. Yunshu and Zhou Qimeng were both starting their sophomore year. Fu Xinyu, a year younger, was entering as a freshman. The siblings left for school half an hour early. When Yunshu was about to head out, the housekeeper stopped her. No drivers were available. She didn't flinch. The residence was about 5 kilometers from the school, and she already planned to walk. Good exercise. Yunshu walked fast. 5 kilometers, 35 minutes. As she took in the school that had terrified the original owner, A faint, almost imperceptible flicker of bloodlust crossed her eyes. The private school, the lowest ranked in the city. As long as your family had decent connections, you could enroll. It gave people a fancy elite school label to toss around. And because the school only cared about family background, the students ranged wildly in ability. Yunshu walked in with her back straight. 15 minutes before class. Most students were already inside, only a few stragglers heading in. She strolled in slowly, and it didn't take long for people to notice. She was known as the school's punching bag. She'd always walked with her head down, apologizing even when someone else bumped into her. But today was different. She held herself tall instead of hunching over. The uniform that used to hang too loose on her now fit perfectly. The bangs that had always covered her eyes were pinned back, revealing a smooth forehead. Her skin looked noticeably lighter. Without that signature backpack she carried everywhere, a lot of people would have thought their eyes were playing tricks on them. She completely transformed. Whispers followed her. People speculated about what had changed. A few thought about messing with her like before, but her new aura made them hesitate. Is that Yunshu? It's not just the looks, it's her. Have you ever seen anyone else with that backpack? I recognize the bag, but she's different. Yeah, I think she got prettier. And way lighter. Does she seriously think looking better will stop people from bullying her? What an idiot. Yunshu walked through the whispers and laughter straight toward her classroom. The bell rang just as she stepped into class 2 to 6. The school had 6 classes per grade, about 50 students each, following a small class college model. Classes were ranked by average GPA. Hers was the worst in the sophomore year, hence 2 to 6. Zhiheng was in class 1, the top tier. But regardless of academic rank, one thing united all the classes: every student came from a decent, middle-tier family background. And every class had its share of troublemakers and rebels. The school's policy on them looked the other way. As long as nothing major happened, everything else was trivial. When Yunshu entered the room, the noise dropped by half. Hey, who's that? She looks so familiar. She walked to the back of the classroom and sat in the seat next to the brooms and mops. And just like that, class 2 to 6 exploded. Yunshu. That's Yunshu. No way, I knew she looked familiar. It really is her. Did she get some kind of makeover over break? She looks completely different. A girl in the front row spun around, stared at Yunshu a few times, then turned back to her deskmate. Zhiheng said she's got some mental illness. Looks like she's really losing it. Yeah, look at that attitude. You think if she has an episode, she'll bite someone. The guy beside her shrank back in mock fear. Maybe we should tell the teacher. What if she's got some kind of contagious madness? Huh, contagious madness? Only you would come up with that. The students around them burst into laughter. Yunshu heard every word. But in her eyes, these people were no different from Zhiheng's spoiled kids whose parents gave them way too much freedom. Brains? Definitely not on the menu. So she let their chatter slide right off. A minute later, the teacher walked in. Everyone returned to their seats. The female teacher pulled out the roster and began calling names. When she got to Yunshu's name, a crisp voice cut through the room. Present. The teacher looked up. When had her voice changed? She remembered the old Yunshu, the one who needed her name called multiple times before answering, barely audible, like a mosquito buzzing in the corner. But today, the students were just as confused. Everyone turned to stare. If before they only suspected she'd changed her appearance, now they had to wonder if she'd been swapped out for someone else entirely. Yunshu sat upright in her chair, head held naturally high. As the curious gazes poured in from every direction, she met them without flinching, eyes fixed calmly ahead. Compared to the girl who used to hide in the back, hunched over, too afraid to even answer when her name was called. They might as well have been two completely different people. The middle-aged female teacher stared in disbelief. She called the name again. Yunshu. Here. Yunshu met the teacher's gaze head-on, eyes sharp, voice steady. Is there a problem? The question hit the room like a rock dropped into still water. Department 6 erupted. Oh my god, did the freak just snap out of it? Right. She's actually talking back to the teacher. Look at her. Whispers broke out from every corner. Everyone was stunned by Yunshu's sudden transformation. Downright speechless. The teacher felt the sting of being challenged. She cleared her throat. Ahem. No. Nothing. She was probably overthinking it. Employees change as they mature. Perfectly normal. Alright, everyone settle down. Let's start. She steadied herself and began the briefing. But Department 6 wasn't about to let it go. All through the session, they muttered and gossiped about Yunshu's dramatic personality flip. Yunshu sat upright in her seat, eyes on the instructor. For her, this kind of classroom learning was a first. Back in X world, she had plenty of skills. All of them state-of-the-art, top tier. But she'd learned them through trial and error in brutal conditions, or been forced to master them at gunpoint. Sitting in a bright conference room like this never happened. The material wasn't new, but the act of learning itself felt grounding. Here, if she screwed up, she didn't die. So when the trainer launched into her presentation, Yunshu absorbed every word. She was the most focused person in the room. When practice problems went up on the board, Yunshu jotted down the answers without hesitation. While the others stalled, she scanned the room, quietly matching faces from the original owner's memory to the co-workers around her. She was seated in the back row. Her desk mates. A broom and a bucket. No one to her left. No one to her right. Not a soul in front or behind. Nobody wanted to sit near her. Most of the department were heirs to wealthy families. Their daily routine, bully co-workers for entertainment, talk about food and parties. Yunshu had zero interest. But the guy 3 seats ahead of her, currently passed out cold, caught her attention. His name was Shen Yishuang. Pale skin. Despite the grand name, the kid was short. Maybe 5'5". Small for a guy. According to the original owner's memory, Shen Yishuang was quiet. Barely spoke. Slept through most briefings. But he was a legitimate hacker. More than once, the original Yunshu had spotted him out in the company garden, coding. The code was beyond her understanding back then, but now Yunshu knew it wasn't simple stuff. And yet, on every computer test, Shen Yishuang scored a 0. Same as the original Yunshu. Then she noticed a girl in the front left row keep twisting around to stare. The obvious behavior pulled Yunshu's attention like a magnet. The girl looked nervous. Each time she glanced back, she did it carefully, checking that her deskmate wasn't watching. Even through her glasses, Yunshu caught the pity in her eyes. Pity. Right. She was the company's scapegoat. The one everyone could walk all over. The girl felt sorry for her. One look at her face, and memories surfaced on their own. Zhiheng. Her family owned a chunk of land in the western suburbs. No money, people called it. They had cash, sure, but in this company that didn't buy much. She was average looking, carried a little extra weight, and usually trailed behind the department's queen bee. Her deskmate, Lutin. So why did the original owner remember Zhiheng so clearly? Because she was the only person at this company who had ever helped her. Memories flickered through Yunshu's mind like a film reel, playing back everything the original owner had endured here. After a long pause, she smiled to herself. This company wasn't going to be boring after all. Director's office. Director Jiang stood at the door, beaming, bowing slightly as he greeted his 2 distinguished guests. CEO Fu. Young Master Shang Fu. Welcome to Quantum Node Network Tech Company. Your presence honors us. Fu Huaishang wore a black suit, jacket foregone. The top 2 buttons of his shirt were undone. Paired with that arrogantly handsome face, he radiated a lazy, aristocratic energy. Beside him, Shang Fu Muse wore a crisp white suit today, a sharp contrast. But the shirt underneath, gaudy beyond belief. A riot of patterns and colors that could make your head spin. And yet, on Shang Fu Muse, with those striking features, it somehow worked. Fu Huaishang walked straight to the main sofa, sat down, and crossed his legs with casual ease. Shang Fu Muse, like a curious kid, launched a self-guided tour of the director's office. Touching this, examining that. Completely at home. Director Zhiheng watched them. His heart hammered. The company had just started its day, and these 2 had shown up unannounced. In the past, he couldn't have begged them to set foot on campus. Was this a blessing or a disaster waiting to happen? He poured their tea himself. CEO Fu, what brings you here today? Any instructions? Fu Huaishang. The walking god of wealth in Beijing. You couldn't catch a glimpse of him on a normal day. Couldn't even beg for an audience. And now he was sitting right here in Zhang's office. Zhang was on high alert. Just looking around, Fu Huaishang said coolly, his voice as detached as ever. Huh? Zhang was lost. What did looking around mean? Shang Fu Muse saw the man's tension and laughed. Relax, Director Zhang. CEO Fu just wanted to stop by. He'll be dropping in more often from now on. You'll need to get used to it. If Shang Fu hadn't said anything, Zhang might have been less confused. Now he was even more lost. He was going to come more often. Looking at what? Looking at who? Even with no clue what was going on, Zhang pulled himself together fast. He was the director, after all. Whatever Fu Huaishang was here to see, the fact that he'd come at all meant something at this company had caught his attention. And that meant Zhang finally had a way in. Windsor Academy has been producing exceptional talent since the day it was founded, Su Zongyuan said, his voice thick with pride. He kept talking. The academy has been eager to launch a major research initiative. But a project of that scale requires significant funding. The man across from him wasn't listening. His attention was miles away. Su Zongyuan didn't let that stop him. Our momentum is undeniable. Every department is delivering results. But if we want to break through to the next level, innovation is everything. This research project is the key. A shrill ring cut through the room. Fu Huaishang was on his feet before Su Zongyuan could finish, making the principal flinch. Principal Su, do you mind if I look around? No, of course not. Su scrambled up. How about a tour? Fu Huaishang gave a short nod. Su immediately called for the dean, and together they headed out across the campus. In class 6, the teacher handed out the last of the homework and left. The second she was gone, the room exploded. It was like someone had unlocked a cage. Voices rose, laughter bounced off the walls, and at the center of all the noise was one name, Hang Duo. But Hang Duo sat apart from it all, wrapped in an invisible bubble. No one got close to her desk. She was used to being alone. She barely noticed it anymore. She picked up her pen and started her homework. Then a sharp voice cut through the air above her. Hang Duo. Shao Yu from class 1 says you're crazy. That true? Hang Duo looked up slowly, her gaze settling on the speaker. Lu Ting was working a lollipop in her mouth, eyeing Hang Duo up and down with a sneer. Hang Duo set down her pen. If I said you were crazy, would that suddenly be true? The room went dead quiet. A long beat. Then murmurs rippled through the desks. Whoa! Did Hang Duo seriously just call Lu Ting crazy? She doesn't look crazy to me. Honestly, she looks pretty normal. First day back and it's already like this semester's gonna be chaos. Hang Duo. You looking for a beating? Lu Ting's face twisted with rage. Calling me crazy? Sounds like you're itching for a slap. But before she could get another word out, something no one expected happened. Hang Duo shoved her desk forward with both hands. The heavy wooden desk shot across the floor like a battering ram, slamming straight into Lu Ting's thighs and stomach. Then it bounced back to its original spot as if it were on a slingshot. It happened too fast for anyone to react. Lu Ting screamed as pain tore through her body. She stumbled backward, the lollipop hitting the floor with a crack, shattering into pieces. Three girls who always ran with Lu Ting rushed forward, glaring at Hang Duo. You're the one who needs a beating, Hang Duo said, her voice flat, her eyes cold as she stared Lu Ting down. She hadn't even gotten out of her seat. The whole class was stunned. Fine. Lu Ting beat down on the pain in her legs. You started this, Hang Duo. Don't blame me for what happens next. She and the girls advanced, aggressive, ready to fight. You want to throw down? A faint smile touched Hang Duo's lips as she rose from her chair. Her spine straightened, radiating a quiet, unshakable authority. Her dark eyes locked onto the girls in front of her with a sharp, cutting edge. That look stopped them cold. They exchanged glances, a flicker of fear settling in their chests. Even the onlookers edged back toward the door, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. Lu Ting was the undisputed queen of Class 6. Nobody talked back to her. And now, the school's biggest loser had just challenged her in front of everyone. How was she supposed to save face? Her expression soured into something ugly. Get her! Shut that mouth of hers for good. At her command, the girls lunged. Hang Duo didn't move. The faint smile never left her lips. She lifted her foot and kicked the leg of her chair. Bam! The chair flew straight into her hand as if it had a mind of its own. One swing, and she sent it hurtling at the girls. Oh! Oh my God! Screams erupted from the students by the door. A few of the more timid ones covered their eyes. Oh! Help! You're crushing me. When the yells and sobbing finally died down, everyone dared to look. Three girls lay sprawled across the floor. Underneath them, trapped and flailing like a human cushion, was Lu Ting. Hang Duo walked over, slow and unhurried. She stopped above the pile of four. Next time you open your mouth, think first. Her voice was ice, sending chills down their spines. Next time, it won't be a chair. She bent down, picked up the chair she'd thrown. That single, casual motion made the girls on the ground squeeze their eyes shut, terrified. After a long, tense moment, they cracked their eyes open again. Hang Duo was already back at her desk, writing her homework. Calm, focused. Like she hadn't just taken down 4 people with one chair. Get off me. Are you trying to crush me? Lu Ting shrieked, finally squirming free. She rubbed her aching body, staring in disbelief at Hang Duo. The girl hadn't even looked up. She just kept writing, like nothing had happened. Her face still burned from what just happened, sharp and humiliating, like she'd been slapped in front of everyone. No way. She had to save face today, or she wouldn't survive this class let alone the rest of the semester. Lu Ting had just wound up for another swing when a furious male voice tore through the hallway. Shu! Get the hell out here! The roar jolted the students still hovering near the door. What now? First day of school, and already everyone was gunning for her. Shu, you got the nerve to do it, but you're too chicken shit to show your face. The guy kept raging, insults flying straight into the classroom. At the sound, Shu set down her pen, stood, and walked toward the door. As she passed Lu Ting and her little crew, something strange happened. All 3 of them took 2 steps back, almost in unison. The classmates at the entrance parted to let her through. Shu lifted her gaze slowly, scanning past the crowd until her eyes landed on the figure outside. A stocky guy with a buzz cut loomed at the classroom entrance, peering inside and muttering curses under his breath. A handful of other guys trailed behind him like loyal shadows. Well, finally decided to show your face. The buzz cut guy's glare burned with raw hostility, like he wanted to rip her apart right there. But Yoon-shu stayed eerily calm under that stare. Her expression blank, she looked up at the muscular guy towering a full head above her and asked flatly, "What do you want?" Her mind pulled up his file instantly. Go-hong Xian, class representative for one of the other homerooms. Big guy. Trained in some kind of mixed martial arts. And most importantly, Zhou Qimen's obsessed admirer. A total brain-dead fanboy. Back in the day, he even begged Yoon-shu to deliver his love letters. Zhou Qimen had treated that like a personal insult and beat her for it. Of course I want something, Go-hong Xian snapped, her lazy attitude making his anger spike even higher. He didn't even notice how different Yoon-shu looked today. He just kept bellowing at the top of his lungs. Why the hell did you break Qimen's hand? She's supposed to be an artist, she's going to be someone someday. Qimen told me not to come after you. She still cares about family, at least. But you're just vicious. No wonder everyone treats you like dirt. You're garbage. A waste of space. The only thing you're good at is bullying your own sister. The words shot out of Go-hong Xian like machine gun fire, each one slamming into Yoon-shu. The onlookers started throwing disgusted looks her way. Wow, so Yoon-shu's the bully at home. Wouldn't have pegged her for that. No wonder I saw Zhou Qimen's arm all bandaged this morning. When I asked, she just said she did it to herself. Hey, don't jump to conclusions. Yoon-shu hasn't even said anything yet. Maybe there's a misunderstanding. Yeah, let's not judge too fast. Let's see how this plays out. The chatter buzzed around her, but Yoon-shu couldn't have cared less. She just raised an eyebrow, almost amused. Zhou Qimen really didn't know when to quit. She hadn't even gone after the girl yet, and here she was, sending her attack dog to the doorstep. Eyes locked on Go-hong Xian, Yoon-shu curled her lips. That's right. I broke Zhou Qimen's hand. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She told you I broke her hand. Did she also tell you why? Yoon-shu's gaze turned to us. But Go-hong Xian was stuck on the confession. Nothing else got through. So you admit it. I don't care why. Qimen's too kind. You're the one who's been picking on her this whole time. Looking at this brainless fanboy, Yoon-shu decided she was done wasting words. She turned to head back into class. Stop right there. Who said you could leave? Go-hong Xian threw out an arm, blocking her path right across her chest. His followers behind him started jeering. Yeah, without the boss's say-so, you're not going anywhere. Apologize now, or you're not walking away from this. I don't usually hit women, but you broke Qimen's hand. I'm avenging her today. Go-hong Xian grabbed her arm and pulled his fist back. His fist was barely half a foot from her face. Yoon-shu's feet were already braced, ready to move. Just as the clash was about to explode, a stern shout cut through from behind the crowd. What do you think you're all doing? Director Shan Wangzhong had been cheerfully showing Fu Huaishang around the school, never dreaming he'd walk straight into a student brawl. Now he was furious and humiliated. So disappointed in these kids. Couldn't they have picked literally any other time to fight? Right in front of him. Making him look completely incompetent. Director Mu Yun, the middle-aged woman in charge of discipline, had already shoved through the crowd after the director's shot. She planted herself between Yoon-shu and Go-hong Xian. She shot them both weighted looks. Minor disagreements between classmates are normal. No fighting. Both of you, go back to your classrooms. Now. Out of the corner of her eye, Yoon-shu caught the figure standing behind the crowd. A glint of mischief sparked in her dark eyes, Gu Hongxian reluctantly lowered his arm. As he turned to head back, Yunshu suddenly spoke up. Director Mu, Gu Hongxian started it. At that, Gu Hongxian exploded. Bullshit! You broke Zhou Qimeng's hand first. Yunshu raised her voice, loud and mocking. Then why didn't Zhou Qimeng come to me herself? Why did she send you? Who exactly are you to her, Gu Hongxian? Yunshu, are you looking for a fight? Gu Hongxuan's face twisted with rage. Her words hit a raw nerve. He'd been chasing Zhou Qimeng for 2 years with zero response, and that wound was still wide open. I'm asking you. Who are you to her? What gives you the right to speak for her? Director Mu was blinking frantically, practically cramping from the effort of trying to stop it. Alright. That's enough. Whatever it is, deal with it after school. Inside, she was cursing. Now was absolutely not the time to sort out who was right and who was wrong. But Gu Hongxian was beyond listening. Yunshu's repeated jabs about what he was to Zhou Qimeng had pushed him clean over the edge. Yunshu, I don't give a damn if the director himself shows up today. Director Shan's expression darkened to storm cloud levels. He opened his mouth to speak, but a deep, unhurried voice cut him off. Is that so? Fu Huaishang stepped forward from the shadows of the hallway, his polished leather shoes clicking against the floor with a sound that somehow silenced the entire corridor. So this was the great school atmosphere Director Jiang kept boasting about. And here was Chairman Fu, supposedly so enlightened. Disrespecting teachers, cursing out female classmates. I'd gotten a front row seat to the show today. Everyone whipped around. A man in a sharp black suit and another in a floral blazer stood several yards away, flanked by a dozen bodyguards in black. Director Jiang and a cluster of administrators hovered nervously behind them. Fu Huaishang's face was carved from ice. His gaze locked onto Chen Xiaoming and froze the boy solid. The aristocratic pressure rolling off him swept through the hallway like a storm front. Gu Hongxian spotted Yunshu and threw her an exaggerated wink, the kind that practically screamed, "Backup has arrived." Mr. Fu, Mr. Gu, my apologies. Director Jiang forced a ragged laugh. This was an accident. A complete accident. Rest assured, I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Very thoroughly. Fu Huaishang didn't spare him a glance. He strode toward Yunshu on those long legs of his. Someone shrieked, "Oh my god, it's Mr. Fu." The cheers erupted in waves. Look, Mr. Gu is right behind him. I hit the jackpot 2 legends in one day. The photos online already killed me, but seeing them in person. Someone call an ambulance. Everyone in the city knew Fu Huaishang and Gu Hongxian. The students here all came from money, but these two were on a whole different level. Guys worshipped their power. Girls drooled over their faces. Now nobody gave a damn about Yunshu or Chen Xiaoming. Every pair of eyes was glued to the two newcomers. The second Fu Huaishang stopped in front of Yunshu, Director Jiang squeezed his way over. Before Fu could get a single word out, Jiang barked, "Dean of Students. Get these 2 troublemakers to my office. I'll deal with them personally." "Yes, Director." The dean motioned for Yunshu and Chen Xiaoming to follow. Fu Huaishang, about to speak, watched her small figure walk away. Even the ever-composed chairman cursed under his breath. "Mr. Fu, shall we continue the tour?" Director Jiang tried to salvage the situation, only to see Fu Huaishang pivot and follow the trio. This. Director Jiang, you'd better handle this well." Gu Hongxian sidled up and murmured something cryptic, then cheerfully trailed after them. Director Jiang's weathered face nearly crumpled. What the hell was happening now? Outside the director's office, students crammed the corridor in layers. Mostly girls. Every security guard in the building couldn't hold them back. Only Fu Huaishang's men kept the boldest ones from barging straight through the door. Inside, Director Jiang, the dean, and the homeroom teacher stood in a stiff row. Fu Huaishang and Gu Hongxian sat on the sofa. Gu lounged back, occasionally tossing winks at Yun-shu. She ignored him completely. Fu Huaishang's face was a thundercloud. Yun-shu stood opposite them with Chen Xiaoming. Why were you fighting outside the classroom? Director Jiang asked after a nervous glance at Fu Huaishang. Normally Jiang liked to smooth things over. But with these two heavyweights parked right in his office, sweeping this under the rug wasn't an option. If word got out, his prized wholesome environment would become a punchline. She broke Zhou Qimen's hand. I got pissed, so I confronted her. Chen Xiaoming spoke first, his voice steadier than before. Director Jiang looked at Yun-shu. She seemed familiar, but he couldn't quite place her. Your turn. What happened? Facing his interrogation, Yun-shu didn't flinch. He's right. I broke Zhou Qimen's hand. The words had barely left her mouth before Gu Hongxian burst out laughing. Miss Yun is hilarious. She owns her actions like a boss. He waved a careless hand. Go on, go on. Ahem. Director Jiang cleared his throat awkwardly. Then why did you break her hand? An eye for an eye. Yun-shu's voice was as calm as if she were reporting how many glasses of water she had today. The office fell silent for a full 2 seconds. You're lying. Qimen would never. Chen Xiaoming couldn't stand hearing anyone slander his beloved. Shut up. Director Jiang slammed the table. Chen Xiaoming's jaw snapped shut. Jiang turned back to Yun-shu. And did you lay hands on him just now? 1 second slower, and he would have been airborne. Yun-shu was dead serious. Ha ha ha. Yun-shu, you. Director Jiang. 3 voices rang out at once. Director Jiang didn't know where to look. The laughter was Gu Hongxian again. He tried to hold it in, but the way she said airborne was too damn much. The second voice was Chen Xiaoming's. He was a key member of the Taekwondo club. There was no way that idiot Yun-shu could send him flying. He was about to cast her out. The last voice, cold as frost, belonged to Fu Huaishang. His face had been dark this entire time. What is it, Mr. Fu? Director Jiang rushed to stand beside the sofa. Fu Huaishang rose and walked over to Yun-shu. For an instant, something like longing flickered in his eyes as he looked at her. Then he turned to face Director Jiang. His lips parted. Director Jiang, the matter between Yun-shu and Zhou Qimen is a private affair. Wouldn't you agree? Director Jiang's eyes darted between Yun-shu and Fu Huaishang. Realization hit. Yes, Mr. Fu is absolutely right. He jabbed a finger at Chen Xiaoming. The Zhou family's business, what's it to you? Sticking your nose in where it doesn't belong. But Director Chen Xiaoming tried to argue. But what? All you do is waste time on useless nonsense. This whole mess is your fault. Get out of here and hand me a 10,000-word written apology by tomorrow. Seeing Fu Huaishang's expression soften a fraction, Director Jiang let out a breath. He waved Chen Xiaoming off. Dean, take him out and give him a good talking to. Make sure he understands exactly what he did wrong today. Yes, Director. After they left, Director Jiang sidled toward Fu Huaishang with a fawning smile. Well, Mr. Fu, I still have some work to handle. Make yourselves at home. Take all the time you need. He nodded at Gu Hongxian, then slipped out of the office. Only 3 people remained in the room. Yun-shu, Fu Huaishang, and Shangfu Muse. Sister-in-law, you're something else. Shangfu Muse stood and gave Yun-shu a thumbs up. Her brow furrowed at the title. Her voice came out flat. I'm not your sister-in-law. Ah. Shangfu Muse choked on whatever he planned to say next. Right. You two should talk. I'll leave you to it. He slipped out the door. Yun-shu spoke first. Did you need something? Fu Huaishang pushed down the tightness in his chest. Yeah. Came to observe. Okay. Then keep observing. Yun-shu turned to leave. But the moment she pivoted, his large hand caught hers. Yun-shu looked down at his grip. CEO Fu. What is this? The man pressed his lips together, like he'd been working up to this. Shangfu Muse said I should be around you more. Make myself known. He says that's how you get someone to like you. His voice was low and magnetic, a deep current humming right beside her ear. His dark eyes locked onto hers, searching for even the smallest reaction. Her face looked cleaner now, her skin rosier than before. Those dark pupils held a pull he couldn't look away from. Yunshu stared back at the impossibly handsome man in front of her. In those cold, bottomless eyes, there was nothing else. Just her. Completely. She'd never felt her heart skip before. But right now, a foreign sensation surged through her chest. It felt like some giant hand had gently plucked at her heart, knocking its rhythm off course. In those few seconds, Yunshu made a decision. She'd never been in love. What was the harm in trying? This flawless man had more or less handed himself over. She might as well take him. Yunshu pulled her hand free from his grasp. She met his eyes, serious. Fu Huaishang, I've never been in a relationship. She paused a bit. But once I start something, only I decide when it ends. Her questioning gaze held steady. His body went rigid. Every nerve strung tight. I've never been in one either. But I promise you this. Between us, you always call the shots. Alright, then. Let's try. Her words set him off completely. His dark eyes sparkled with brilliant color. Good. Then from now on, I'm yours. A smile broke across his handsome face, faint dimples appearing at the corners of his mouth. Dangerously alluring. His large hand caught hers again. Tighter than before. His. What kind of phrasing was that? Whatever. She let it slide. She glanced at the clock on the wall and tried to pull her hand back. Okay, I need to get to class. Can you skip it? Fu Huaishang didn't let go, reluctance playing in his eyes. Right now, he looked nothing like the CEO of the Fu Group. He looked more like a ridiculously gorgeous, clingy puppy. The kind you wanted to reach out and ruffle. I'm a student. Following school rules is my responsibility. Tempting as he was, she had her principles. Then I'll wait for you after school. Standing tall, that smile lent his handsome face a different kind of pull. A total male siren. Not daring to look at him any longer, Yunshu hurried out of the office. Outside, Shangfu Muse had been chatting with Sun Hachen. He spotted Yunshu and immediately called out. Sister-in-law, heading out? He asked casually. Yunshu nodded. Class. Oh, okay. But the moment she turned away, Shangfu Muse froze. Wait. Alarm bells went off in his head. Earlier, inside the office, when he called her sister-in-law, she'd corrected him on the spot. Just now, she hadn't even flinched. That realization stunned him. Without a second thought, he ditched Sun Hachen and rushed back inside. By the time Yunshu returned to class 6, second period had already ended. The moment she appeared in the doorway, the noisy room went silent. Every pair of eyes landed on her. Curiosity. And judgment. Yunshu is back, someone announced. The voice wasn't loud, but it caught everyone's attention. Su Shang'an got slammed with writing an apology letter straight from the principal. How'd Yunshu walk away clean? That's weird. Right. Even if Su Shang'an started it, Yunshu still interrupted the school inspection. How is she walking around like nothing happened? The classroom buzzed like a boiling pot. Students whispered back and forth, hashing over the whole thing. But the person at the center of it all acted like it had nothing to do with her. Yunshu walked back to her seat and kept writing her homework. Zhou Qimen had been planning to get back at her earlier. Now she watched her return with something different in her eyes. The old Yunshu had been class 6 disgrace. Bad grades. Always shrinking into herself in a way that made everyone dismiss her. Nobody remembered who bullied her first. Eventually, she just became the target everyone felt free to pick on. Meanwhile, her half-sister Mu Yun was the top student in Class 1, the class beauty. Loved by teachers and classmates alike. The contrast, a dodder flower next to a fresh bloom, had made Yunshu the object of everyone's contempt. But how had she changed this much over a single break? Whether she had work done or finally grown a backbone, the Yunshu standing there now seemed like a completely different person. Kiman, should we? Her minion made a subtle punching gesture toward Yunshu's seat. Zhou Chimeng shook her head fast. No. Let's wait and see. She had a feeling this Yunshu was no longer simple. Something about her was harder to pin down now. Not as easy to push around as before. During the break before lunch, Yunshu went to the school's back garden. This was the only place the original owner had ever liked at this school. They called it a garden, but there wasn't a single flower. Just overgrown shrubs. Yunshu stood at the edge and quietly took the place in. Now she understood why the original owner had come here. It was easy to hide. Hiding meant fewer stares, less hurt. Yunshu clenched her fists and walked forward. Just as she expected, he was still here. Before she even got close, the rapid clicking of a keyboard drifted from the shrubs ahead. Yunshu walked over and sat down in the bushes beside him. Li Jun glanced at her, then turned his focus back to the tiny laptop in front of him, as if she didn't exist. Yunshu picked a blade of grass and turned it idly between her fingers. She and Li Jun were close enough to touch, but neither one looked at the other. Then his fingers flew across the keyboard. Something clicked in the back of Yunshu's mind, and a faint smile curved her lips. What the hell? Why isn't this working? He hit one roadblock after another. Li Jun muttered a curse, still hammering the keys. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Yunshu leaned back. Her gaze flicked to his screen just a split second, then she stood up slowly. Ugh, I'm gonna lose it. He grabbed his head as another warning flashed across the monitor. And then a lazy voice came from right behind him. Line 178. You got an extra character. Huh? Li Jun twisted around, eyes clouded with confusion. You still staring? You're about to get caught. Yunshu's tone snapped like a rubber band. That jolted him. He spun back to the screen. An instant later, his fingers attacked the keyboard again. Gritting his teeth, he deleted the extra code exactly where she'd said. The alarm died. Lan. He turned to thank her, but she was already walking away. Wait. That was Yunshu. How did she know his code was wrong? Had he really slipped that badly? Was she actually paying attention? No. That didn't add up. Last time she came here, all she did was cry. Today she didn't even look upset. He stared at the screen, thinking about something other than code for the first time in hours. The moment Yunshu left the garden, she ran into a stream of girls racing toward the school gate, all chattering at once. Ding dong. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out. A message from Fu Huaishang, I'm waiting at the gate. Right. She'd completely forgotten about her man. She slipped the phone away and picked up her pace. The closer she got to the entrance, the thicker the crowd became. At least 80% of the students were girls. 50 meters ahead, the whole area was a solid wall of people. She frowned. Drawing a deep breath, she steeled herself and pushed forward. Excuse me coming through. There were too many bodies. She had to squeeze and apologize at the same time. What's your hurry? We're all trying to see. Yeah, everyone wants a look. Grumbles rippled around her. Then a girl elbowed her friend. Hey, isn't that Yunshu? No way. Why would that loser be anywhere near CEO Fu? The friend's voice dripped contempt. Look for yourself. The first girl grabbed her friend and spun her around. Reluctantly, The friend tore her eyes off Fu Huaisheng and glanced sideways. It really was Yunshu. Wait, her. What's she doing here? You think CEO Fu would ever Before she could finish, a scream tore through the crowd. Everyone turned. Yunshu was climbing into the Rolls-Royce, and Fu Huaisheng himself was holding the door open for her. No. No way. Tell me I'm seeing things. The friend's voice cracked. Oh God. Yunshu, she's really in that car. Someone in the crowd let out a sob. The friend heard it, and then she collapsed in a dead faint. Minutes later, a bombshell post detonated on the school forum. Loser Yunshu turns the tables landed CEO Fu. It came with several animated shots of her getting into the car. The thread rocketed straight to the top of the trending list. 1 minute after that, it vanished. Poof! And anyone who downloaded the pictures found they wouldn't open anymore. Inside the Rolls-Royce, Fu Huaisheng had held her hand the whole time since she got in, a soft smile on his lips. Next time, park farther away. I can walk a few steps, Yunshu said, frowning at the thought of the crush outside. Okay. He agreed before the word had even left his mouth. Where are we going now? Let's grab dinner first. Fine. I have class this afternoon, so I need to head back after we eat. Fu Huaisheng had been counting on a full romantic outing. When he heard about class, his smile flickered. Her grades were abysmal. Was she actually working hard now? An image of Yunshu studying frantically, racing against the clock, flashed through his mind. A rush of tenderness hit him. Don't worry. I've got you. His voice softened. Yunshu blinked. What did that even mean? Before she could ask, the car rolled to a stop. The driver's voice came from the front seat. CEO Fu, we're here. A blood-red Koenigsegg tore down the road like a living flame. Its streamlined body looked like sculpture, the kind that made men stop and stare. Limited to 3 units worldwide with a price tag to match, this car was every man's dream on wheels. Inside, Gu Hongxian had the stereo cranked to max. The deafening beat vibrated through the entire cabin. He swayed to the rhythm, completely lost in the music. His phone buzzed. After a long moment, he finally picked up. Yo, Lao-san. I'm having a passionate rendezvous with my baby Koenigsegg right now. What's up? His voice oozed smugness. On the other end, San Haochen frowned. He pulled the phone away and checked the number. No mistake. You okay? You actually got behind the wheel of Brother Chen's car. Gu Hongxian laughed, reckless and loud. How? You don't know the story. He begged me to drive it. San Haochen's suspicion sharpened. His gut told him something was way off. He'd been at a military exercise with his phone off for days. How the hell had any of this happened? Spill. What's the story? You wanna hear it? Set up a banquet tonight. I'll tell you everything. Oh, and don't call Brother Chen. If you interrupt his time, watch out, he'll come for you. Fine. The club tonight. Deal. See you there. Shangfu Muse ended the call and cranked the music. His drunk singing cut off with a sharp curse. Damn it. He pulled over, killed the engine, and shut the music off. Unbuckling his seatbelt, he shoved the door open and stormed out. Livid. He had to see who had just rear-ended his brand new car on its very first day on the road. He strode up to the white Maserati that had hit him and knocked on the driver's window, a sarcastic laugh escaping him. Hey! You just hit my car. Are you getting out, or am I coming in after you? The door didn't open. The windows were tinted with one-way film, so he couldn't see a thing inside. Shangfu Muse circled to the front to get a look at the driver. The second he saw the face behind the wheel, he knew his luck had officially run out. Patience gone, he returned to the driver's door and pounded on it. Bang! 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 The hammering interrupted Lu Tin mid-call. She had no choice but to hang up. She dropped her phone, stepped out, her expression flooded with apology. Before her feet even touched the pavement, she was already talking. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I was on the phone with a student. Don't worry, I'll take full responsibility. It was her fault. She hadn't even bothered to check who the other driver was before launching into the apology. But when she finished and finally looked up at the car's owner, her eyes went wide. Shangfu Muse was leaning against her door, looking like the universe had personally screwed him over. Him? Of all people. Miss Lu. If you had a problem with how I handled things last time, you could have just said so. No need for payback. Payback? Lu Ting had planned on keeping it civil, but the moment Shangfu Muse opened his mouth, she couldn't stop herself. Mr. Shangfu, you watch way too many crime dramas. Are you developing a persecution complex? You hit me last time, fine, that's over. Today, I got distracted by a student, and that's why I rear-ended you. I already said I'd take responsibility. Don't twist this into some kind of vendetta. Lu Ting said under her breath. What twisted luck of all the cars she could have hit, it had to be his. Shangfu Muse took in the sight of her in that white professional skirt suit, radiating teacher energy, and felt a headache coming on. Some role model for students. Everything out of your mouth is a lecture. Lu Ting didn't miss a beat. Not as bad as you. Everything out of your mouth is nonsense. You Shangfu Muse took the bait instantly. You what? Go ahead. Finish that sentence. The two luxury cars blocking the road had already caused traffic to stack up behind them. Curious onlookers were gathering on the sidewalk. Spotting people pulling out their phones to record, Shangfu Muse decided against arguing with a woman. He did not need to end up in the headlines again. Miss Lu. Do everyone a favor and be more careful on the road. Mr. Shanfield. Rest assured. I've been driving for years, and I've had exactly one accident. With you. They traded jabs, neither willing to back down an inch. If it weren't for the honking horns and the line of cars stretching out behind them, Shangfu Muse would have found somewhere to settle this for real. Let's go, lady driver. The whole street sped up. He turned and headed back to his car. Lu Ting yanked her own door open with a huff and shouted at his retreating back. Peacock. I hope I never see you again. A man dressed that flashy, that full of himself, who else was he asking to hit him? Back behind the wheel, Lu Ting watched his car pull away slowly. Then it hit her they'd spent all that time fighting and had completely forgotten to exchange insurance information. She honked her horn. The car had just hit the gas and sped off. Lu Ting stared after him, speechless. Cloud Top Pavilion. The most famous private kitchen in Beijing. Set on prime real estate in the city center, the restaurant occupied only 400 square meters, yet it drew the elite like moths to a flame. Reservations had to be made at least a month in advance just for a shot at tasting their dishes. The popularity wasn't just about the incredible food, every ingredient was flown in fresh daily. Rumor had it the chefs earned more per month than some corporate managers. When Fu Huaisheng and Mu Yun arrived, the restaurant manager was already waiting out front. He greeted them with a broad smile. Welcome, CEO Fu. Welcome, Miss Yun. Fu Huaisheng gave a slight nod, took Mu Yan's hand, and led her inside. The moment she stepped through the door, Mu Yun stopped cold. The entire restaurant was covered in a sea of fresh roses. Their rich fragrance filled the air. Do you like it? Fu Huaisheng asked, his voice gentle. Mu Yun looked around and nodded. I do. Then she added, but don't buy flowers next time. They'll just wither. What she really meant, a waste of money. A straight woman who saw zero romance in flowers. Fu Huaisheng just stared at her, at a loss for words. I'm hungry. She'd been burning energy lately, and her hunger was always right on schedule. All right. Let's go upstairs. He led her to the second floor and into his private dining room. The view was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the bustling city center, while one-way glass kept prying eyes out. The whole room felt warm and inviting, from the oversized dining chairs to the elegant tableware. Everything was chosen to make the meal a pleasure. The large round table was already set with a spread of beautiful dishes, and a built-in heating function kept even the earliest courses at the perfect temperature. Fu Huaishang guided her to a seat, pulling out her chair with quiet gallantry before settling beside her. He ladled a small bowl of seafood soup and set it in front of her. Drink the soup first. Eat slowly. No rush. I won't let you be late this afternoon. His voice was low but carried a thread of tenderness. Okay. Mu Yun downed the soup in one go, then went straight for the meat dishes. Fu Huaishang watched her eat only meat and ignored the vegetables entirely. His brow furrowed. He picked up a piece of greens with his chopsticks and placed it in her bowl. Yunar, eat some vegetables. She stared at the green leaves. Reluctantly, she ate it. But only that one bite. When he tried to add more vegetables to her bowl, she outright ignored him. She was a carnivore at heart. Vegetables? No thanks. Back in the parallel world, Yunshu had survived on weeds once. Now her brain automatically filtered out anything green on a plate. Fu Huaishang hadn't expected her to be this picky. From today on, getting Yunshu to eat vegetables would become one of the CEO's biggest headaches. After dinner, Fu Huaishang drove her back to school. Inside the Rolls-Royce, he stared coldly at the financial report in his hand. His commanding presence snapped back into place. Without Yunshu beside him, Fu Huaishang was once again the icy CEO. A dozen minutes later, he tossed the report aside. Driver, he said. Tell the chef at the mansion to start developing vegetables that taste like meat. And make sure they don't look like vegetables. The driver hesitated. Vegetables that tasted like meat and didn't even look like vegetables. Is there a problem? Fu Huaishang caught the hesitation, his voice dropping a few degrees. No, CEO Fu. I'll arrange it immediately. Back at the academy, Yunshu was the center of attention again. Eyes tracked her from every direction, trying to see through her. She'd gotten into Fu Huaishang's car and disappeared all afternoon. The guys mostly joked, hungry for drama. But the girls, their emotions churned with envy, jealousy, and wild speculation. When she walked into the classroom, classmates who'd been napping snapped awake. Silence. Every gaze pinned her until she reached her seat and sat down. Someone broke it. A swarm of girls rushed her desk. Yunshu, did you really get in Fu Huaishang's car? One demanded, jealousy bleeding through her voice. Another jumped in. The whole school's talking about it. People from our class saw you too. Where did you go? What's your relationship with him? The noise erupted again. Yunshu's face stayed blank as she scanned the gossipy, hostile faces. No comment, she said flatly. The first girl gaped, not expecting that response. She opened her mouth to curse, but her friend quickly clapped a hand over it. Yunshu wasn't the pushover they used to bully. Between what happened this morning and her connection to Fu Huaishang, everyone had to think twice. These people knew how to read the room. They slunk back to their seats. Yunshu didn't care what any of them thought. She pulled out her textbook, flipped it open, and focused entirely on the pages. The first day of school ended. When the bell rang, she was the first out the door. She walked home again. Sitting in class all day walking was good for her leg muscles. 2 kilometers from the Su residence, she reached a small park. 3 men approached, their hair dyed in clashing colors. Their leering gazes oozed bad intentions. She gave them a quick glance and kept walking, unfazed. As they passed, the red-haired one let out a sharp whistle. The other 2 moved in, cutting off her path. Hey there, little girl, just getting out of school. The redhead ogled her. Boss, for sure she's still carrying her backpack, the yellow-haired one chimed in from behind. Wanna come play with us? The one with a half-shaved head leaned closer. Yunshu's eyes went razor cold as she swept them. Leave. Or die. Whoa. Feisty little thing. What, you gonna make us see stars? The redhead reached a grimy hand toward her. His buddies howled with laughter. In a flash, Yunshu caught his wrist, twisted, and snapped it backward. A sharp crack, bone breaking. Then her fist slammed into his mouth. Blood sprayed. He toppled backward. The other two attacked. She kicked the yellow-haired one. The force sent him stumbling, crashing to the ground. A second punch connected with the half-shaved guy's temple. He dropped like a stone, unconscious. Grab her. The redhead screamed through a mouthful of blood, struggling to get up. But the yellow-haired guy was frozen, rooted in place. How could this girl fight like that? Why hadn't that person told them? He hesitated, then turned and ran. Yunshu wasn't letting him go. She sprinted after him, caught up in seconds. A sweep of her leg lightning fast and he flew a meter into the air, then crashed down like a broken cat. Spare me, please, he begged. She strolled over to him, a cold smirk curling her lips. I gave you a chance. She grabbed his hair and dragged him back to where the redhead lay. The redhead had stopped shouting. He stared at her like she was a ghost. Sis, no, wait, hero, big hero. The red-haired man was staring at Yunshu, voice shaking so hard the words barely made it out. He didn't wait for her to ask. He was ready to spill his guts right then and there if it meant saving his own skin. Just listen, okay? I don't want to hear it. Yunshu cut him off cold. No hesitation. No room for him to breathe. The red-haired man froze. That wasn't how this was supposed to go. And in that split second of stillness, her fists came down like a storm. Oh! Off to the side, the tattooed man cowered. What was left of his hair was still clinging to his scalp. His face had gone white as paper, and he was shaking so hard his teeth were practically rattling. He curled into a ball, barely daring to breathe, doing everything he could to keep the tiny violent hurricane from noticing him. After what felt like an eternity, Yunshu finally stopped. The red-haired man was a wreck. Barely recognizable. He lay there gasping, eyes rolled back, staring up at the sky with a few pathetic tears leaking from the corners. If he'd known it was going to go like this, no amount of money could have made him take the job. Cash is useless if you're not alive to spend it. Yunshu pulled a wet wipe from her backpack and cleaned her hands like she was dusting off a shelf. Then she nudged the tattooed man with the toe of her shoe. He'd been playing dead. You. Talk. One nudge and the tattooed man flinched like she just branded him. But he talked. He told her everything. Turns out Zhiheng Yuan, the vice president of Quantum Node Network tech company, had paid the three of them $10,000 to jump Yunshu and film the whole thing. Another $5,000 was promised once the footage was delivered. Yunshu didn't know the man personally. But from the tattooed man's description, she connected the dots fast. Zhou Qimeng. The original Yunshu had caught him once. She remembered it clearly. Shen Wangzhong had been away on business. Zhiheng Yuan came calling for Zhou Qimeng. He stayed upstairs with her the entire afternoon. A cold smile tugged at Yunshu's lips. So Zhou Qimeng hated her that much. Enough to want her gone. Fine. She'd make her move first. It was 6 in the evening when Yunshu walked back through the doors of the Shen residence. The moment she stepped inside, she spotted Zhou Qimeng rushing toward the door, then freezing when their eyes met. Zhou Qimeng's gaze flickered. Avoidance, plain as day. But she plastered on a smile and forced her voice to stay even. Yunshu, you're back. Yunshu didn't look at her. Didn't slow down. She walked straight past her and into the dining room. Shen Wanzhong was already seated at the head of the table. Yunshu took the seat to his right. Across from them, Zhou Qimeng and Shen Yishuan settled into their usual places. Xiaoyu had already sent word she wasn't feeling well and wouldn't be joining them for dinner. Yunshu knew better. It was guilt. The mess with Su Hajiat this morning had been Xiaoyu's doing. All right. Serve the food. Shen Wanzhong's command sent the servants into motion. Shen Yishuan was starving and made no effort to hide it. He aimed his complaint straight at Yunshu. Could you come home earlier after school? Stop wandering around. Waiting for you to eat is seriously stressing me out. Zhou Qimeng tugged at his sleeve, quick and sharp. Shen Yishuan, oblivious as ever, ignored her. Yunshu's lips curved, the smile barely there but loaded with danger. Fine. Starting tomorrow, I'll take the car to school. You and Xiaoyu can walk. She let that land, then added, oh, and when you pass the bridge tunnel, keep your eyes open. Watch out for bad people. Her gaze cut across the table like ice, landing hard on Zhou Qimeng. At the words bridge tunnel, Zhou Qimeng flinched. Her face went pale, but she held herself perfectly still and said nothing. Shen Wanzhong's brow furrowed. What is that supposed to mean? Did you walk to school today? Yes. It's about half an hour on foot. Yunshu picked up her chopsticks and started eating, calm as could be. Zhou Qimeng. Why are they at the same school but Yunshu walks? Shen Wanzhong's voice snapped hard. His eyes bored into Zhou Qimeng. He'd always left the household details to her. He'd never imagined his daughter had been walking to school alone. Zhou Qimeng went pale. That Wanzhong, the driver, was new. It was his fault. I already fired him. She raised her hand like she was swearing an oath. Don't worry. It won't happen again. Yunshu's voice cut in before Shen Wanzhong could answer. Maybe today was the driver's fault. But the past 10+ years, whose fault was that? She bit into a piece of braised pork ribs, chewed, and set her chopsticks down. Does the Shen family change drivers every day? Her smirk aimed straight at Zhou Qimeng. Now Zhou Qimeng was unraveling. Sweat beaded at her forehead. Under the table, her hands twisted in her skirt. Shen Wanzhong stared at Yunshu, disbelief settling across his face. Is that true? Would I make it up for fun? Yunshu didn't even glance at him. She kept eating. Slam! Shen Wanzhong's palm hit the table so hard the dishes rattled. Zhou Qimeng jumped like she'd been struck. The tears came right on cue. Wanzong, it's all my fault. Her voice trembled just right. You know, after Yishuan, the delivery was so hard. I've never been well since. I couldn't manage everything. The old housekeeper handled most of the day today. I only just found out about all of this. I'm sorry. I swear I'll treat Yunshu better from now on. You. Shen Wanzhong pointed at her, his face twisting with something caught between fury and pain. That was when Shen Yishuan finally realized he'd made things worse for his mother. Father, don't blame her. She's not well, you shouldn't. Shut up. Shen Wanzhong's voice cut through the room. If I ever hear of any of you bullying Yunshu again, don't expect mercy from me. He was truly furious. The wife he cherished, the woman he trusted with his house and his children, had let his daughter walk to school for years while the others rode. When he looked at Zhou Qimeng now, the love was gone from his eyes. Upstairs, Xiaoyu hadn't heard a thing.